and our team's missed. I mean, that's just my gut right now. And I think, part of the reason why I'm not picking the Rangers and the Islanders, they've been so up and down.
Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs?
The Rangers are dead in the water. Next Wednesday, the Rangers will be basically eliminated.
You're the one living in a dream, Solomon, because I know it happens. It happens.
Yeah, they always die of dysentery in Oregon Trail. Ever notice that one, Phil?
I always died of cholera, so I thought cholera would be the better one.
Either one is quite terrible. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Big Apple Hockey. We'll be joined by the man from the Hockey News, Mr. Anthony LaRocco, in a matter of minutes. But first, I, of course, am your host, Mark Williams. Right there. We got some highlighted comments that are coming up, but we're going to get to those in a moment. And we'll get to it being over in a minute. But going to the host of the final buzzer, Mr. John Volkowski.
Apathetic, I guess. I have no other way of really describing it. It's just whatever at this point. We knew it was coming.
Yeah, we all kind of saw this coming. All of us. We've been saying it for weeks, if not months. And one New York team is trying to get back to relevancy. The other one is fighting to get to irrelevancy. So let's, without further ado, go to the A block, which is brought to you by SeatGeek. Use the promo code Big Apple Hockey for $20 off your first order. And Joey's saying right here that he doesn't talk. I don't talk to players after the game. Well, you know what? You need to. Okay, and they need to talk because that's part of your job now, especially now with post-game shows and stuff like that. Of course, by the way, Big Apple Hockey trucker hats and shirts are available. So click the link down below. But again, players have to talk, and sometimes what they say really does carry weight. And when you get into a situation like Mika Zibanejad saying the other night, just, oh, yeah, we played well, and then the game gets away from us, and he got emotional about it. You know something? I don't care anymore. You guys, you say, oh, we need to play better or we're doing good. No, you're not. First off, get out of that dream world too. So I wanted to make that clip a little bit more apparent with the Terminator 2 clip. But Phil, this has been a terrible week for the New York teams because, as you heard me say it last week, Montreal was probably going to go at least 3-0-1.
Don't come in here talking shit. Use that term again and I'll block you.
What, the Rags?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, first off, we're going to be talking about the Islanders too. It's just, yeah. It's
If you don't like the content, bye.
Well, because we're being broadcasted on all things Islanders too. But we do all this. We do the Islanders. We do the Rangers. This is the first one to be talking about it with the Rangers because Montreal completed a 4-0 week. They opened up an 8-point lead over the Rangers, Islanders, Blue Jackets, and Red Wings. And the Islanders last night, they gained a point, but they fall to the Predators 7-6 after 2 straight wins. And the Rangers, they were completely lifeless, Philk, with losses to the Devils and the Lightning. I don't know which game was worse, the one where the Rangers scored or the one where the Rangers didn't. But you look at the Rangers' next 2 games, they're versus the Flyers, they're at the Islanders. Islanders are reversed. They're home for the Rangers, and they're at the Flyers. Is it finally over, and these teams could start looking to the offseason, Philk?
Yeah. One team actually tried, the other team didn't. You want to guess which team actually tried?
That would be the one that's at UBS Arena.
Yeah. So it's ridiculous. At least Patrick Waugh, at least he cares. Peter Laviolette. Yeah, and you're getting blocked now.
What was the last comment?
No, it was some Devils troll. I don't know who it was, but they're gone now. Goodbye. Yeah. So at least with the the Islanders, it's just one team tried and the other team didn't. One coach cared and the other coach knew that he was gone at the end of the year. And now he's scratching a rookie who actually has looked better than half the team. Sadly enough, I thought Gabe Perreault may not be ready, but at least he looks like he's trying and caring and wants the team to win. And Laviolette is checked out. He's checked out, and the messages that are coming from him and some of the other guys in the locker room are just like how do you still have the job? Like I know that I previously said that he shouldn't be the one that should be fired and he should get the chance and all this other stuff and that the players were to blame and they are. But Laviolette has done himself no favors since I've said those words. No favors. The lineup decisions have been boneheaded, and I'm putting that nicely. The scratching of Gabe Perreault is just stupid. The continuous play of the same power play unit for months and months and months when they have not been productive. Why? Why did you keep running the same power play unit out there? And that power play unit cost them so many points. So many points because they failed to convert in games where they needed a power play goal or two that could have put them over the top and could have closed out games. And the players themselves, yes, Firestorm, the players themselves quit. They quit in December. And you know what? And that's why I said it wasn't Laviolette's fault, but Laviolette has done nothing, and I mean nothing, to help himself. And I was probably the strongest supporter of Laviolette being brought on as this team's coach. I'm not going to admit that Capitals fans are right about Kuznetsov. Who the fuck cares about what Evgeny Kuznetsov says?
Yeah, taking Evgeny Kuznetsov's words about a coach is like listening to, the most malcontent person to complain about everything. I was trying to come up with a good metaphor. I gave up with it halfway through. Giving up with it halfway through, I'm at least better than the Rangers this season. But, that's I'm not listening to Evgeny Kuznetsov talk about coaches.
And you know what? It's not just him that lost the room. They quit because the general manager called out the team and called out two guys that were not playing well. We're not playing well. And why is it that this team all of a sudden they crawl up in a ball and they crawl over and they die and they cry like babies because they were called out for their bad play? It speaks to the level of entitlement that they had. And they carried this all season. Kuznetsov was not a better center than Mika Zibanejad. Don't even try this. Kuznetsov has had 1 point per game season, and he's had so much troubles with substance abuse over the years. He hasn't been able to get his own shit together. That's why he's in Russia and he's not in the NHL. That's why the IIHF suspended him and not Mika Zibanejad. You can't seriously be arguing.
That's not even here nor there with him. Come on. We're talking about Evgeny Kuznetsov as a man of character. No, every problem I might ever have with Mika Zibanejad pales in comparison to Evgeny Kuznetsov.
Honestly, Kuznetsov wishes he still had. He still wishes he. We're not going to talk about what substances are doing. Doesn't matter. We can't. The problem is that he has his own personal problems, and he's nowhere near the player that Mika Zibanejad is even right now in Mika Zibanejad's worst season. He's not even in the NHL. How is this an argument? How? How are we even talking about this?
It's beyond me with a lot of this stuff because look, are you going to say that Laviolette is a veteran coach who relies on veterans? Then that's true, but not that. Not any of them with what the Capitals fans were saying. Look, Laviolette is getting shorter and shorter in every single stint, and he really doesn't even try with young talent this year because. See, on the other hand, that's true. Mika Zibanejad isn't even a center anymore.
Terminated yesterday. Like, are we really bringing this guy up right now when his contract was terminated? KHL doesn't even want him.
No.
They don't even want him. Oh, what? He's going to come back. He's going to come back to the Capitals. What is he going to do?
And at this age and at this time,
shape.
like, it's not. There's nothing to worry about with Evgeny Kuznetsov. Back to the actual conversation that's on here. I mean, you look at what the Rangers put out there Saturday, Philk. Let's compare the Rangers' efforts Saturday and Tuesday to the Islanders' efforts Friday and Sunday. First off, the Islanders beat two teams that are in the playoffs, one of them that was looking at making history, and that they stopped the game at their home rink, which was flooded with Capital fans. We'll get more to that in a second, and not even angrily. I credit Islander fans for the way they behaved for that game.
Islanders have fought. They're you know what? They're a team that has a bunch of holes and they need an overhaul. But at least that team plays like they care. That's the one that I would take that over the effortless, heartless, and gutless shit show that has been the New York Rangers since December. And honestly, I have never this team is the most unlikable team I have ever watched in my life.
Hands down.
At least the Islanders, at least they care. They care. They wanted to win. And they were dealing with not having probably their best forward. Two of their best defensemen have been banged up for most of the year. The goaltender has been banged up and was overworked at the beginning of the year because they didn't have a backup due to Semyon Varlamov's injury. I mean, I'll tell you right now, at least the Islanders have had effort, and they made a good deal to go. They got one of the top 5 to 10 prospects in hockey for Brock Nelson.
Mm-hmm.
So,
it's just this is the catastrophic drop off. That the only team that could even compare to this, Phil, is the 91-92 Rangers, who won the President's Trophy, and then ended up completely getting just the worst season in 92-93. And that was when they were trying to work young talent in. By the way, Mark Messier torpedoed his coach in that. We all know that one.
Yeah.
And then the Islanders put the death nail on there, Turgeon in overtime, and the Rangers ended up finishing in last place that year. Granted, they came back, they won a President's Trophy. This team is not doing that next year, and they're not winning a Stanley Cup next year either. Just welcoming in Anthony LaRocco, joining us right now from the Hockey News. What's up, Anthony?
How's it going, gentlemen?
Anthony, how about this week and watching the Islanders fight to try to get back to relevancy and watching the Rangers go down?
I have to address this comment before Anthony goes. Do we not understand what PDO is? If you have not understood what PDO is and you haven't looked at the charts, I'm telling you right now, this is not sustainable. What these guys are doing are all having career years. And a lot of the Rangers had great years last year. Panarin had a career year. Trocheck had a career year. Lafreniere had a career year. Wait until next year when a lot of these guys start to regress. Ovechkin doing what he's doing at nearly 40 years old. That's not going to continue. I'm sorry, it's not. There's going to be a decline with a lot of these guys. So you can talk about Carberry and what Carberry is doing, but there is a reason why Washington is the number 1 ranked team in PDO. Sorry, Anthony, go ahead.
Okay. Well, I mean, Mark, you asked me last week if with this Ranger Islander game on Thursday could mean, and I said it was going to mean nothing. It's over for both teams. It's not a question. It's not an opinion. And I get they're not mathematically done, but it's over. The Montreal Canadiens are up 8 points on both of them. They'd have to run the table. Canadians could go 1-3 at best. It's done. Nail in the coffin. Any analogy you want to place for it. It's time to tee off and make your golf, your golf tee off times, because both teams are finished and they nothing to really to blame but themselves for the play that they had the majority of the year. Now, granted that this is much more surprising from the Rangers standpoint because, the Rangers had high expectations, making the conference final last year, President's Trophy. The Islanders were a bubble team from the start, so I don't think anybody should really be surprised that, they're going to miss the playoffs, but a lot of question marks heading into the offseason for both teams. How much change is there going to be for both teams? Certainly there's going to be change to a certain extent. How far they really go and making those changes is remains to be seen. But at the end of the day, that these are two, as I said in the group chat yesterday, these are just mid hockey teams. The Rangers are mid because they're poorly coached and their players have no spine and really no work ethic except for a few. And the Islanders are mid because they lack talent as it is. And then, Matt Barzal only playing in 30 games this year, they couldn't overcome that for a team that's already struggles to, play a lot of talented players at the highest level. So, the seasons are over for both of them. Let's also be realistic. You could see the writing on the wall for both these teams from December on. They never really gave you any feel that, hey, these are two teams that are going to squeeze into a playoff spot. So for me, none of this is a surprise at all. And again, now the question really becomes how much change do they really make? Are both Drury and Laviolette out? Is just Laviolette out? It's really who really knows? On the Islanders side, we already know Lou's not going anywhere, and I don't think he's going to fire Patrick Waugh because same case as Chris Drury. You fire another coach, you're again moving on to what your third coach, or in Lou's case, this would be his fourth coach. So I don't think any of these general managers firing the coach is really not a good look on them. So, for the Islanders' sake, I think they're both back, and the Rangers' sake, I think Laviolette's definitely gone. Not so sure about Drury. I'm 50-50 on that. But these teams need to make big changes in the offseason.
Hands down. And Phil and I have been talking about this. By the way, Anthony, I played the sound clip of you saying that both teams are going to miss back in February. But this has been pathetic, and it's been pathetic for a long time. And the Rangers really need to change around their philosophy on a lot of things. And you get the fans that keep saying to us every single time that we bring it up, oh, well, how do you trade Artemi Panarin? How do you just say you're going to get rid of Chris Kreider? Doesn't he earn the right to be a career Ranger? No, he doesn't. I've brought it up several times. Brian Leach got traded. Goodbye. Chris Kreider, thank you for everything you've done. Come back, shake your hand. Who knows? Maybe there might be a jersey retirement ceremony, even though that might want to make some people want to throw up right now, just even thinking about that. But he scored a lot of big goals for the New York Rangers. I think he scored his last one. I think it's over as far as he goes.
I think he's definitely gone. He's the one guy I think I could say conviction. He's definitely gone.
Anthony, I said this back when they re-signed Lafreniere, because you need to actually play this guy, even though he's had no results. What has been the plan for Alexei Lafreniere his entire career as a New York Ranger? Hey, welcome to the team. Go suit up over there, and maybe we'll use you at some point.
You're beyond with Lafreniere. He can't use the excuse of playing time anymore. He's been on the top line for 2 years now.
Good. Find some way to utilize him.
He's being utilized.
Is he on power play 1 yet?
Well, all right, fine, but no power play 1, but he's still playing on a top line with top players.
Good. Well, you just invested in him. Figure it out.
There you go. NHL Watcher posted that on Twitter that I sent in our group chat the other day. That's an ugly stat. Even if you love Laugh, you can't defend that. That's simply not good enough.
I'm not defending Laugh as far as like him, because by the way, that 10-minute misconduct he took also equally pathetic. But it's just as far as the Rangers go, they need to switch up everything. You got to look at this roster, figure out what works, and figure out what doesn't. Because Loff is stealing money. Shesterkin is stealing money. I mean, I don't know why Devils fans are so high and mighty right now. Because we'll get to the Devils record later on in the show since the Olympic break or the Four Nations. Guess what? It's been pretty pathetic. So
the only thing left,
it's a bunch of trolls coming in here having a victory lap, and thanks for the free views, but you're all getting blocked. I don't care.
Right. I mean, if you want to just come in, this is a place for have a conversation. You want to come in and be a troll? You're an idiot. Anthony?
I guess my last point in Loff is I think the only thing that's going to save him here is that he just signed that contract, and I don't think Drury would move him just because of if you want to call it optics. I don't think he'll do it. But I'll say this though: if a team called and made the right offer, just have signing him be damned. If he were to say no because of that, that'd be you can't. If you got a fair offer for him, you move him. I don't care when you sign the contract, you move him. I don't see why you'd say no.
Anthony, you're right about that, because here's the thing. They all deserve to go. Who deserves to stay outside of Will Cooley and some of the guys in the future? Vinny Trocheck has a limited shelf life. I love the guy. Great. JT Miller came in from being a problem in Vancouver. He's played good. Let's pump the brakes on captain material yet. So let's wrap this up in 1 second, because we'll save some of this for when we do our season wrap-up shows. But it's just, I can't help but look at this week and just see the Rangers limping to the finish line. Now, let's get into one thing that was said. Anthony, I'm going to let you have your opinion on it, and Phil, you're going to be right up there.
Did you say you can't see them limping to the finish line?
No, I can.
Oh, I was gonna,
yeah.
Right.
I can see them limping to the finish line. The Islanders are going to play tough. The Islanders, I give Islanders all the credit in the world. Everything, but it's just the Islanders, at least they might have been involved in the Ovechkin game, which we're going to get to in 1 second. But I mean, looking at the Rangers, just what is inspiring you about this team next year? What gives you confidence? And don't say the goaltender, because he ain't winning games. And I understand it's not all on him, but you're going to be paying him like it is. So, but Laviolette made the comment, though, guys, I don't go into the locker room after the games. And a lot of people have been big on this one all week, which is, I can't believe he doesn't go in the locker room. I remember John Tortorella said he doesn't go in the locker room. And we have the clip of that, well, we're not crying, guys. We're telling it like it is.
Hey,
we have the clip of
reviews. That's all I can say at this point.
Yeah. We have the clip of Laviolette saying, like, chewing out his team after the Bruins. But that was 2012. That was a team in December of 2011 that was going towards the Winter Classic, building towards something. They were in the Stanley Cup Finals. They were invested. This team is not invested. If Laviolette went in there, read them the riot act, what good is it going to do now? They're done. They've been done since December. So reading them anything is not anything to even bother with that. Phil?
You know what? The thing that confuses me the most is that Laviolette actually tried to, like, bench Zibanejad. He did at one point. And then Zibanejad must have went to Drury or someone and cried about it, because he was back on first line with Kreider and back on first power play unit a day later. And it's like, there has to be something going on between Laviolette and Drury or the higher ups or whatever is going on. Like, I would imagine, like, this is going to be one of those things that's going to pop up on, like, Spit and Chicklets or like Cam and Strick or something like that. And then it'll come out that there's just this massive schism, and like this huge story develops out of it, where it's a clusterfuck of confusion. And because for him to actually do that and then for it to like just go back to the way things were like a game later, it doesn't make sense to me at all. Like, why was my audio removed there?
I don't know how you got lost completely.
No, that wasn't me. I don't have dogs, obviously. But it's crazy because I look at it and I go back to the Gallant situation with Trouba and everything that happened, with that screaming match between Drury and Gallant. And did that happen again earlier on in the year in like November or whatever it was when Zibanejad was benched? Is that what happened? Because it wouldn't surprise me if it did, because for that to just unfold the way that it did, that's the sense that I'm getting. I really do think that we're going to hear about this on Spit and Chicklets at some point within like the next 12 months or 18 months or something like that. And or one of those podcasts, Empty Netters, whatever. And it's going to be where the top guys were going above the coach. They didn't like the coach or whatever, and they were going above the coach, going straight to the GM, and it caused a schism between the GM and the coach, and it got to the point where the coach was just like, okay, no matter what I do, these guys don't listen to me, so I'm just going to quit because they quit on me, and I know that I'm gone at the end of the year anyway. So, I mean, is that what we're looking at here? That's what I'm guessing at this point. It's got to be. It doesn't make sense any other way.
Anthony, your thoughts on Laviolette not going into the locker room?
I mean, it was a little peculiar to me. I just think the optics of the comment didn't really look good. But I mean, at the end of the day, really, I think that quote or not, I think there is like, folks, it's some sort of disconnect between general manager, player, coach. There's something just that's not right there. And I think that, for the Rangers to really move forward, I think that they need to change course completely and just get rid of the coach, general manager, and start fresh and implement a new culture into their team. Because what transpired this year certainly can't go on it can't leak into the next season too. I think you gotta start fresh completely.
Yeah, hands down with that one, Anthony. They need a culture change. So I
am having some backyard work done. So yes, but I'm aware.
But yeah, they gotta change around the culture, and I don't know if I want to put this all on Drury, because Drury inherited a lot of it from Jeff Gorton, and let's face it, just there's a lot of the problems that the Rangers have in there. And as Anthony is pointing out on his Twitter, that Lou is on the precipice of completely remaking the Islanders. When you think about that, they already got Cole Eiserman in the works and Danny Nelson, but now you got Callum Ritchie, and you could possibly get James Hagens. That could change that around for the Rangers.
I don't know if they're going to finish that high in the draft lottery, but if they do, that's a massive get. I mean, after I would say the top 5 or so, there's a bit of a drop off, but you're still going to get a solid player if you're in the top 10 of the draft, I would say.
But also, by the way, I think what Anthony's word on that is the optics. When a coach says, I don't go in the locker room, the optics, especially the way the Rangers have been playing, that looks really bad. So again, look for our season wrap-ups coming soon, guys. But let's get back to Sunday briefly, where Alexander Ovechkin scored goal 895 at UBS Arena. Anthony, first things first, we had some of the complaints from people. Oh, there's price gouging and everything. I got no problem with that. Oh, the Islander fans are selling their tickets. I really got no problem with that, because you got the Islander season ticket holders that are looking at it and going, I could sell 2 tickets and pay for next year. Why wouldn't I do that? And then lastly, the Islanders won the game even after it was stopped. They showed up and played, and there was a lot of good moments from Gretzky talking to the team after the game or during the and even shouting out to the Nassau Coliseum before then. I mean, what were your thoughts on Sunday, Anthony?
I loved every second of it. I mean, Alex Ovechkin's been one of my favorite players since he came into the league. So I didn't care one bit that he scored the goal against the Islanders. Not one iota. I'd love to see it. I thought the ceremony was done very, very well. It was first class all the way. I like how Gretzky started off his speech by saying that he was glad that this wasn't happening at Nassau Coliseum because he had a lot of losses there. So he's certainly trying to kind of get on the good side with the fans there right off the bat, and mentioned guys like Trottier. So yeah, I thought it was just a nice touch all around, and talk about just a record that you would never thought would be broken, and all the credit to the world and Alex Ovechkin for showing his longevity. So I thought it was an incredible moment for people there that witnessed it in person. That must have been real special. Kicking myself that I didn't buy the tickets 2 months ago when I was looking at them and almost pulled the trigger. I'm like, there's no guarantee he's going to do it then. So that came back to bite me. But I loved it. I loved every second of it. And, Ovechkin's a freak of nature. That's all I could say. I know when Phil was talking before about the Capitals and not sustainable, the only thing I'll say about Ovechkin is, I don't know, can't never count the guy out. I mean, the guy, like I said, he's a freak. He's 30. He broke his leg, came back and still scored a torrid pace, 42 goals. I think Alex Ovechkin can score 40 goals next season if he. Well, I shouldn't say if he chooses to. He's on the contract for one more year, so he's definitely going to be there. But he defies all logic. And anytime you do think he's slowing down, a couple of years ago he had that off year when it's like, oh, is he finally falling off a cliff? He came back that next year and made everybody eat crow. So yeah, the guy's absurd, and it seems like he's powered off Cheetos, Subway, and Pepsi. So it further defies logic because you look at him, without his equipment on, he doesn't even look like he's a fine-tuned athlete, but yet
Bill Kessel diet.
Just I don't know, just Russian machine don't break. I don't know what to say.
And Anthony, it's quite amazing also because you called it and said that it was going to happen against Ilya Sorokin a few weeks ago. And we were trying to place our bets, and I was hoping it was going to happen in front of Sidney Crosby. But then we had other shows were debating stuff like that. And Johnny Lazarus, friend of the show, said, well, if he scores on me, I'm not going to have a problem with that. Ilya Sorokin didn't look that mad, did he, Phil?
No, I mean, like we were saying on Sunday, like, is he really going to be that mad that probably the greatest goal scorer of all time? I mean, scored a goal on him, scored the record-breaking goal. He goes down in history. I mean, it's just, I really don't think anybody that was thinking that this guy was going to be pissed about that. I don't get what you were thinking. I don't get where it was coming from. So,
yeah, I mean, goaltenders don't want to be scored on even in practice, but when it comes to this, you might be mad in the moment. Even Sorokin, Anthony, you looked over at Sorokin, just watching that puck go by him. He's going, "How the hell did he get that by me?"
I can say, yeah, I don't honestly really think he cared. I mean, I think he cares more so the fact that the Capitals were only down one goal. I don't think he really cared at all. It was the game. It was the record-breaking goal. And
yeah,
Ovechkin asked for a stick. He happily obliged, and he said he's going to send him his glove when the season ends. And yeah, I think it was irrelevant to him. And like this said, Sorokin was all class, showing great respect for the greatest goal scorer. And even Ovechkin, too, in his speech at Center Ice in the microphone, he said, thanks to Ilya for letting me score on you, and said, love you, brother. So, like, yeah, I think it's mutual admiration all around. And, like I said, it's part of history.
I mean, by the way, I remember that accusation being thrown out there when Cal Ripken hit a home run in his final All-Star game. They're like, oh, did John Burkett groove the pitch for him? No, he didn't let him have it. He's if you look at Sorokin's reaction, it's still, how the hell did that get in the net? That's still what I have. But Phil, I'll start with you. Can anyone break Ovi's goal scoring record?
There's one guy, and he's actually pacing at a better rate than Ovechkin is through the same amount of games the same age. It's Austin Matthews. Anybody who follows hockey knows the torrid pace that this guy's on. He already has 2 60-goal seasons compared to Ovechkin's one. I mean, he's having a down year this year, 30 goals in 62 games. He's been injured. But this is a guy that's going to score his 400th goal maybe by the end of this year in only, 624 games he's played? That's crazy. So Matthews is really the guy that it has a chance of doing it. I don't know if anybody else I would have said maybe Bedard if he had like a 30 or 40 goal year last year, and he would have had like another 40 goal year this year. But I don't know if Bedard is ever going to be the goal scorer that Matthews is, despite having a world-class shot. So it's Matthews. It's nobody else.
Anthony, you think Matthews or bust on this?
Draisaitl actually has 2 more goals, 399, but he's 2 years older. But at the end of the day, despite Matthews' pace, it's just so hard to predict because he has to be just as good as Ovechkin for just as long. And that's a hard thing to ask. I mean, there's injuries. There's, like I said, Ovechkin's a freak in the sense that he never slowed down, right? Like he never, except for maybe 1 year where, like I mentioned before, everyone's like, oh, is he finally falling off a cliff? And then no, he came back and just answered that, with it, emphatically. So yeah, sure. Right now it looks good for Austin Matthews, but again, it's a really, really tall order for him to, be as good as Ovechkin was for as long as he was. It's not going to be easy to do. So yeah, could he do it? And Matthews is that guy. If I had to pick anybody, but and I'm not going to sit there and here and say it's probable because again, it's going to take a lot of obviously healthy seasons, high-end play for the majority of those seasons, and that's hard to do. So I wouldn't bet on it, but yeah, anything's possible.
Yeah,
I think
probable or likely, but Mark really just asked if there's one guy that could do it. Who is it? And it's Matthews.
No, it is him. I just don't know how likely it is. But yeah,
I'm not saying it's likely. Like none of us are saying how likely or it's likely or not. Like we're just saying there's one guy that has a chance. It's Matthews. That's it.
The funny thing, by the way, you think about it also, the longevity and health of Ovechkin. Since they started keeping track of hits, which they missed because they didn't keep track of them, I think, till 2011. That's when they started. Mm-hmm. Or it might have been a little bit earlier than that. It's in that range. How about this one for a stat, guys? Alex Ovechkin is 3rd in hits in his career. Anthony, can you guess the 2 guys out of him?
Yeah, Matt Martin, Cal Clutterbuck.
Correct. I mean, that's a guy that's still playing physical and still like actively physical in the game. You got to have that longevity. And you look at Matthews, he had a little bit of injury problems this season, but he can actually still, if he could keep up this pace, come back next year like he did last year, 69 goals last year. And he's a throwback type of player. Guys, we're going to take a quick break for DraftKings. And then we're going to do some NHL Bar Talk. Oh, and I almost forgot to mention, I applaud ESPN for their coverage of Alexander Ovechkin breaking the goal record because they had to make it about LeBron somehow and talk about him in the same breath. Anyway, so let's go to the DraftKings break. Hockey fans light the lamp this winter with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. New customers can bet just $5 pregame money line on any NHL team to win their game and get $150 in free bets if they do. If that wasn't enough excitement, you can turn small bets into bigger payouts with same-game parlays. Combine multiple bets like which team will win, how many goals will be scored, and more for your shot and an even bigger payout. Download the DraftKings Sports app now. Use promo code THPN. Bet $5 on any NHL team to win their game and get $150 in free bets if they do. Only at the DraftKings Sportsbook with code THPN.
Shot. This is the easiest I've ever to answer.
I'm going to say beer. I can't even begin to describe.
I'm actually going to go crazy. I'm going to buy everybody around on this one. And welcome back, everybody, to Big Apple Hockey's Bar Talk. We're gauging our confidence on NHL topics based on our choice of drink. We're confident that you buy it around, so I'll have a beer, or, oh, God, give me a shot. I need a shot right now. Don't forget to play along down in the comments down below, and feel free to suggest a topic for us, guys, although we have a jam-packed Bar Talk that is going to encompass a lot of the NHL, and we're going to talk some Frozen Four action, too. First, let's start off with the New York Islanders and a guy who's played pretty well for them. Marcus Hogberg. Anthony? Is it Hogberg? Hogberg? How is he pronouncing it now? I've heard three different pronunciations. Oh, wait. It's Hogberg? Okay, you were muted. Yeah. I at least caught that. All right, but Hogberg, 8-2-4, 907 save percentage, 262 goals against average. With Ilya Sorokin playing a lot and kind of needing a little bit more of a rest if the Islanders especially eliminated, Anthony, the Islanders should start Hogberg the rest of the way.
So you missed part of the context of why I say this. I guess you didn't see, but Sorokin got a little banged up, which is why he didn't play the third period last night. Waugh said it's precautionary, but so the point is, he had off-season back surgery. He played a ton because of no Varlamov. They're out of it. They're not making the playoffs. Why? I mean, at this point, why not just let him rest the rest of the way? It's 5 games. You don't. While his injury isn't anything serious, he could have played. Why even risk putting him back in and something happening or something getting aggravated? So I'm going to say this is around here. Especially because Hogberg's under contract for one more year, only $775,000, which is a bargain. So why not him play the rest of the year, and then you could really evaluate, okay, do we have something in this guy? Can he be our backup next season to Sorokin, or do we need to go out and find a backup? So I think it makes sense in that sense too. So I'm going to say around here.
Phil?
Layup, get the damn boot. It's why even risk any further injury with Sorokin, like Anthony said. Not only that, but just like with the Rangers and Gabe Perreault, I would say, why are you not looking to see what you have in this guy for the rest of the year? Like Anthony said, like it makes too much sense. Let him get in there. Let him get the starts. See what he has. Even if you lose the games, it doesn't matter. You're out of the playoffs at this point. What are you mattering? I mean, it just. Even if they lose the games, they get a better draft pick. I mean, how bad is that? I mean, geez. So yeah, play Hogberg, whatever you want to call him. I saw Joey making some lewd reference in the chat before, which I'm not going to highlight. But yes, let him play, let him see what he can do, and just get what you can get out of him at this point. No reason to put Sorokin in. Sorokin was already overworked earlier on this year, as I spoke about before, because they played him every single game because they didn't have a backup. Varlamov was out. They were like, okay, we don't want to play anybody else. We're just going to continue to play Sorokin. So now you're down another goalie again, and you have a goalie that has back issues, and you think he may have re-aggravated it. He shouldn't see the light of the day until next season.
I'm reminded of these words from Dave Chappelle.
I need a backy out of me.
But
yep.
Guys, it's an easy round, and we're going to make it into a hat trick as well because there is the hat trick right there. Hands down, guys. They got to make this easy play Hogberg and let him just figure it out. He's played really well for the Islanders, and maybe he is your backup. Let him get used to seeing NHL play. Although, yeah, granted, like I said, he's got like 12 games under his belt. But, because God only knows where you're going to get from Varley next year, if anything, at this rate, because he's been like the man of mystery, as it turns out. But how about this one, guys? I just want to throw this one out there. Overworked for Ilya Sorokin is 59 games. I'm pretty sure goalies 10 years ago, Brodeur, Lundqvist, Luongo, would love to be overworked at 59 games.
Yeah, that is true.
But yeah, Sorokin has done a great job. Although, by the way, do you know who has the longest current string of starts in the NHL right now? Carl Vejmelka. He's been started like 20 in a row right now. That's a little bit much.
Carl Vejmelka trying to be today's Glenn Hall. Awesome.
And having a great season. They should pay him $11.5 million. And I will go to that well for the next 8 years. Guys, let's look over at the Atlantic Division, which is nice and tight. And after all, there was a great game last night between the Florida Panthers and the Toronto Maple Leafs. Florida coming out up on top. But so you look at them right now. Toronto still with the lead, 98 points. Tampa Bay, 96. Florida, 94. They do have a game in hand. They have a game played extra than Tampa Bay and Toronto. But the Atlantic Division race is the best in the NHL this season, Mr. Fokowski.
I'm going to probably have to get the hoop on this one as well. I mean, what other division really is there to look at? And you're saying to yourself, like, the Metro has literally has been those three teams for quite some time. I would say since like November, it's been those three teams. The Atlantic has been probably the most competitive division in hockey. I mean, maybe the Central. Pacific's really nothing great. So I would say it's the Atlantic, and a not so close second would be the Central. But even the Central, Winnipeg is really kind of had that locked up for a while. Dallas is playing a little better lately. Well, 7-1-2 in their last 10, but I mean, yeah, I gotta go hoop here.
It's nearly in hoop territory. I think the Central can make the argument. Anthony, this is the best division race this season.
Yeah, it's around. I think 10 points separate third and first in the Pacific. Third in the Metro, the Devils were never really close to one. This division, the first three teams from 1 to 3 aren't really separated by that many points, and then you have Ottawa at 4, who's competitive. So yeah, I mean, this is an easy round.
Yeah, it is an easy round, guys. So once again, a round on this one, it's a hat trick. But you had the Central that was really kind of picking it up for a while, and then there was that separation. There was a game that really kind of said, oh, well, I guess that will decide the division title. We're going to talk about that one in a minute. But the Pacific had its moments and then kind of drifted back. This is the one that's going to come down to the wire. And oddly enough, the New York Rangers could play spoiler if they care. So we'll see about that one.
I don't think they do.
Yeah. But let's stay in the Atlantic. We're going to be talking a lot about the Atlantic right now because the Canadiens are working on signing Ivan Demidov.
Signed him.
What?
They made that official yesterday.
It is official? Okay. Yeah. So now they did sign Ivan Demidov. Because I didn't hear that it was official just yet when I was making this graphic. There we go. All right. But, Anthony, going to go right back to you. Ivan Demidov could be the deciding factor for a Habs upset of the Capitals.
I mean, I don't think it's a deciding factor, but, I mean, he is a highly, highly skilled guy who opened a lot of eyes in the KHL. Some of the highlight reel goals he scored where you saw the level of talent that he plays the game with. So he's certainly impressive. And then you see a guy like, how Michkov did in his rookie year, and you can make the argument Demidov is even more talented than him. So, he could be a difference maker. But I don't know if it's the deciding factor. Honestly, what I think the deciding factor could be for the Habs upsetting the Caps is if Montembeault or Dobes turned out like a Yaroslav Halak type of performance, from when the
2010
playoffs a long time ago. So I think that would be the deciding factor. But yeah, I mean, when you add Demidov to a group that already features Suzuki, Caulfield, Hudson, Line, they got a lot of young skill, and they play a fast game. So yeah, he certainly would make things a little more complicated for the Capitals if he keeps his play that he did in the KHL to where it was, and even it brings it to a higher level. Because NHL is a tougher league, but I'm going to go Beer just because I think the goaltending could be a deciding factor. But don't get me wrong, Demidov will be a huge boost for the Habs.
Yeah, I had to make it more of a deciding factor thing, Anthony, not just that he could help, because he is going to help. We know that. Phil, could he be the deciding factor?
Shot. Deciding factor is the words here, and that's why I'm saying shot. He's not the deciding factor. He's a help, like Anthony said. But, I mean, deciding factor? No. The deciding factor is going to be how can Montreal handle Washington's physicality? Because Washington's going to come at them and they're going to play a big, heavy game. And that's really going to be the test here is, can Montreal handle the physicality that they're about to take on? Because they're a relatively small and they're an inexperienced team. So they're going to be, a lot of those guys are going to be playing their first dose of playoff hockey. I mean, Mike Matheson, has played in the playoffs. Nick Suzuki has. Brendan Gallagher, a lot of these others, some of the older guys on their team are a little more experienced, but there is a lot of young guys on that team that don't have the experience, and this is going to be their first run in a situation where you're not going to get the calls that you get in the regular season, and the referees are going to put away the whistles for the most part. It's going to be a tighter check and a highly physical game, and you got to wonder how guys like Caulfield and so on, respond to that physical play. Demidov is coming from a league where there's not a lot of physical play. There's a bigger ice surface on a lot of their rinks, and he's going to have less time to make those decisions and less room to work with. So, yes, he could help, but, deciding factor, this is an absolute shot for me. This is a layup shot.
Phil, I'm going to agree with you. It's a layup shot for a different reason also. You're talking about this guy, his first taste of the NHL is going to be playoff hockey. Wow, that's going to be a lot coming over from KHL right there. It's a lot to ask for. The deciding factor, though, I think is going to be Nick Suzuki. Nick Suzuki's been amazing. We're going to talk more about him in a little bit, but he might really be like the deciding factor because he's been incredible since the Four Nations break. And, he's definitely been, I'm putting into words because I just run out of superlatives, how I would think about him. But Nick Suzuki has been amazing. And that would be one guy I would look at and think that might be the factor. I wonder if where Demidov slots in. Does he play with Suzuki? And I believe Caulfield is who he's with lately. So
I wouldn't have him in a bottom six role. That would be dumb. Why would you bring him up to play with a bunch of checking forwards? Like, you have a player that's considered by some to be the best player outside of the NHL right now.
Yeah.
Like, why would it would be gross mismanagement? This would be Ranger levels of stupid.
And especially when it comes to the management of the top prospects. That'll be Rangers level stupid. All right. Let's go to the Central Division, and there was a big choke job last night. I don't know if you want to call it a choke job or maybe it was a comeback, but the Dallas Stars collapse. They lose in overtime to the Vancouver Canucks. They had a 5-2 lead with 2:41 remaining. Anthony, the Stars' epic collapse last night will cost them a chance to win the Central Division.
I'm going to go Beer just because the Jets are best team in the league, so it's not like it's a given they can catch them. However, if they would have picked up that extra point, they would only be 3 points behind Winnipeg. And that's manageable. And when you look at the Stars record, as we just referenced lately, they've been on an absolute heater. It wasn't out of the realm of possibility. So, I'll say beer, but I mean, I haven't seen a collapse like that late in a really long time. I saw that 5-2. How much was a minute left, right? It was like a minute left.
2:41 with 2 minutes, 2:41 remaining. Yeah. Sorry, 5-2.
I mean, unbelievable. But yeah, I'm gonna say beer. But yeah, I mean, that extra point would have helped. I mean, 3 points out is a big difference than 4. It doesn't seem like it, but it is.
Phil?
I gotta go beer here. I don't think that losing the 1 point really cost them. I think Winnipeg is just, they're that good of a team. So it's been kind of like, and they're 6-4-0 in their last 10. So I mean, it's not like they're playing bad hockey either. There was no guarantee that they could even catch them to begin with. I get, not getting those extra points is definitely not going to help them. But yeah, I don't know. I gotta go beer here. I don't think that 1 point is really what's going to kill them.
Just to be the contrarian, I'm going to go round. They're going to need that extra point. Winnipeg's been on cruise control for a while, trying to tinker and get ready for the playoffs. I think the Stars really could have used that, because that first round series, I think, between the Stars and the Avalanche, that is going to be one hell of a series. And maybe you want to try to avoid the Avalanche, because they could be like the lion waiting in the weeds. And
if you beat the better team in the first round and then you face them in the second round, you may have an easier time beating them.
That's a good point too. All right. Well, let's go to a team that is out of playoff contention right now in the West, the Vancouver Canucks. They're still 6 points out of a playoff spot, and they were the Pacific Division winners last year. But can't help but look at them and say Vancouver is the second biggest disappointment in the NHL this season, Mr. Filkowski.
Well, the biggest has to be the team that plays in Madison Square Garden.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah,
I would call them a collection of players, actually.
Yeah, because they're not really a team. That's right. We're gonna buy around on this. Definitely gonna buy around on this. The thing with this is that there's just external factors that were going on behind the scenes that have helped along with this. Obviously, we're talking about the rift between Miller and Pettersson, leading to JT Miller's trade. Elias Pettersson just not playing up to his contract. Quentin Hughes being injured for a little bit. I'm going to have to say that this is get the hoop for me on this.
All right, Anthony.
It's funny because I'm respect the hell out of his opinion, but I'm going to go the opposite. I'm going to say shot, because I think when I look at disappointments, I think we agree the Rangers are one. But I mean, I look at a team like Nashville. They signed Steven Stamkos, Jonathan Marchessault, to a team that already had Ryan O'Reilly, Forsberg, UC Saros. Thought the Predators were going to be a wagon, and they're almost one of the worst teams in the league. So I think they're a major disappointment.
That's a good one.
And then the other disappointment that I look at is the Bruins. Like, I mean, who really expected the Bruins to be second to last in the East? I mean, I think at the best case, even if I don't remember if we all predicted them to make the playoffs, but I think if we didn't, we at least expected them to be like almost in. But I mean, almost dead last in the East. I think that's a real big disappointment too. So, I mean, certainly Vancouver is.
Yeah, there's context with that though that you're leaving out.
What, the Bruins?
Yeah, I mean they were mediocre, and then they sold off at the deadline, and that's why they are where they are right now.
That's true.
So, but yeah, I definitely agree with you on Nashville though. Like that's a good one. I mean, you could put that there, but there's always the risk of overshaping the roster like that and it not working out.
Yeah.
So
John Radigan saying Detroit a close third. I mean,
Yep.
Detroit's always been expected to take the next step, and unlike Ottawa, who did take the next step, the reason why I don't Detroit at least only because they didn't really. I mean, what they do in the offseason, right? Like what they didn't really make. They didn't really make any like moves where you said to yourself, "Okay, well, they're going to be a really good team this year." So that's why I really don't view Detroit as a major disappointment.
You mean
I don't think they did enough.
You mean Cam Talbot wasn't the difference maker you expected?
Yeah.
And I'm gonna go beer on this because I think there's a lot of people that can make a lot of good cases. Anthony, great case on Nashville because who'd have thought they'd be among the cellar dwellers for one.
right.
I'm actually, and because now you took my answer on Detroit, so that's another one. But I'm going to go with one guy specifically, Jeremy Swayman. You held out, you got the money, and this is the season.
Man. You should see the fans on Twitter, on the Boston Bruins fans. They are all over him. Even on HF boards, I've seen fans just absolutely destroying Jeremy Swayman. And you know what? They have every right to. When you go in, you ask for that big contract, and you do not perform, just like Igor Shesterkin in New York. You ask for the big money and you don't live up to that contract, you are going to get the flack and you deserve it.
Yes.
Exactly. And I can't help but just say that it's a little bit like when an NFL running back holds out. And other than Emmitt Smith back in, I think it was 93, when he held out and he missed the first two games, and then he came back and he hit the ground running, won an MVP, won the Super Bowl MVP of that year. Other than that, most of the time, NFL running back holds out. They're really not that good that year when they hold out. You saw it with Chris Johnson, you saw it with Larry Johnson. I could go on for a while with
just
these
talk
guys.
about players missing training camp in general.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what happened with Swayman. Swayman was behind the eight ball, didn't start out that great, and he never really got going. But the amount of just games where he's hemorrhaged goals has been incredible, to say the least. And the funny part is he's not among the goaltenders or the leaders of goaltenders that have given up 4 goals or more in a game, because Elvis Merzlikins has that cornered. Him and Alexander Georgiev, as well as Igor Shesterkin is in that mix too. All right. Hey guys, the Frozen Four is going to be tomorrow as Denver and Western Michigan will be playing. Penn State, congratulations to Jim Dowd. His son, Jim Dowd Jr., is on Penn State. And Boston University will be playing beginning.
Go Jim Dowd Jr.
Yeah. And his other son is on the Sun Devils, where my niece goes to college. So, and Penn State and Boston University will be playing starting at 5:00 tomorrow. Mr. Phil Kowski, the next New York Rangers coach, is coaching in the Frozen Four.
So it was in. Hold on, because I honestly haven't been able to follow much of the tournament. I've had too much going on. Who's in the Frozen Four again?
Denver versus Western Michigan, Penn State versus Boston University. I do believe that's David Carl and
David Carl.
Pandolfo.
He's trying to hint that Pandolfo and David Carl becoming the Rangers coach. That's what he's doing. He thinks he's sly, but he's not.
Yeah.
I don't think I was sly.
I'm gonna say here just because I honestly don't know if they're gonna go in that direction. Should they? Yeah, they should definitely consider it. I think they're going to I think they might go to a veteran who might be a disciplinarian. I mean, it was John Della Pena in the Road to Victory 1994 video, and I went back and I had to reconfirm that. But John Della Pena said that this Ranger team deserved Mike Keenan after that 92-93 season. And I have a feeling that might be the case for this team. I don't think so there. I don't see that. I don't. Sorry. But It's just, I would love David Carl, but does he want to leave Denver? Does he? I don't know. He's getting paid pretty well there from what I've been told. And I don't see it being Tortorella either. I really don't have a clue of what direction they're going to go in. I do have a feeling that they may want to look at a disciplinarian who has experience, but I don't know if they're going to want to go with a college guy. I mean, a lot of it is probably going to depend on the makeup of the team. If they go younger, then yeah, I could see that. But if they reshape it and they bring in veterans, that they may not look to go with a guy like David Carl. So,
Anthony, since I was being clever in my wording, what do you think I'm right?
I'm gonna go shot. I don't think, like Phil said, I don't know if David Carl necessarily wants to leave Denver. And I feel the same about Pandolfo. I don't think Pandolfo really wants to leave BU right now. So here's the thing too. Also, both these teams, which by the way, you know what?
Sorry.
Go.
You're only rooting for your team. You're not being a troll. You're not being a jerk. No need to be sorry.
And don't worry, we're going to be singing a lot of praises for the Canadiens in a couple minutes too.
If it's not our team that's grabbing that last spot, I want to see a young, energetic team get in and make some noise. So, kudos to you and the Habs.
No need to be sorry about that. If there's one thing to root for your team, there's another to come in and be a malicious troll and try to cause trouble. So you're not doing anything wrong. The other guys who are getting banned for, being assholes, then that's another story. But you want to talk hockey, this is a space for all teams.
But back to what I was saying, I don't think that Pandolfo is going to be the coach of the Rangers, and because people mentioned the Islanders, I don't think the Islanders either. I think first off, both those teams, despite what fans may some think, I don't think any of them are doing a full-on rebuild. So they're going to be teams that are going to likely want veteran coaches. I mean, the Rangers already tried it with David Quinn, didn't work out. So I don't think Drury's going to go the college ranks again. I think he sees his team as a team that can bounce back and be very good again next year. So I think he's going to look to a veteran. Is that Torts? I don't know. I think a lot of that will depend on if Torts wants to keep coaching at his age. Heard some rumors before that maybe Philly was his last stop. Rick Tocchet, ironically enough, if Vancouver lets him go, you hear Rick Tocchet tied to Philly. But could Rick Tocchet be an option for the Rangers if they can Laviolette? Absolutely. Joel Quenneville, I agree with Phil. I don't see it. But there were a little bit of the murmurs, before they hired Laviolette that maybe the Rangers were interested in Quenneville. So, I mean, it's not totally impossible. He is one of the most winningest coaches ever. I mean, if it seems like he was reinstated, I believe, by Bettman in the NHL. So if another team wants to give him a shot, I mean, he'll get it, because take away all the controversy he was in, right? Just exclude that for a minute. When you're talking just strictly coaching, he's a great coach. There's no denying that.
First ballot Hall of Famer.
Yeah. So
hands down, second winningest coach of all time.
Yeah. So if a team wants to give him a shot and they're comfortable with it, and he thinks it's the right fit, he'll be back in the game. But yeah, I know. I don't think the Rangers are going a young coach here. So I think they're going to go an established guy. So I'm going to stick with Shot.
By the way, I've made the comment that Stan Bowman's got a job, and it's beyond me, because the way Stan Bowman kind of acted with a lot of things leading up to the suspensions, no, I still am a little bit shocked that he's in hockey right now. And Joel Quenneville, though, you haven't heard a peep out of him at all. So maybe it's time to end that. Maybe it can be forgiven. I still have my reservations on that, and the introductory press conference is not going to be pretty, especially with the New York media. No. So let's start with that one. He does check off all the boxes, but here's the other thing. The Rangers got to stop looking at veteran coaches. I know Phil just mentioned it before, and I know you mentioned it, Anthony, about bringing in retreads. Stop. This team is not a new coach away from competing again. This is not 92, 93. Bring in Mike Keenan, and you're going to be up for the President's Trophy. They need to get younger. They need to get better. This core does not care. It does not matter who the coach is. I don't know if I could be more clear about that. You have to clear out the rot that's in the wood and just start over. You have prospects that may develop. Who knows? We never will know unless we see him on Power Play 1 ever. And I'm not just referring to guys you drafted number 1 overall. I'm also referring to the guys that you're scratching tonight or putting on the 4th line with Matt Rampy and Jason Brzezinski. So go
Johnny
scratch on.
We have another one.
Johnny Brodzinski, not Jason.
Jason
Call him
Jason, whatever. You know what? You know what? He's not good enough for me to remember his name. I said Jason Brzezinski. I really did.
Yes.
Oh, jeez.
You
But you know
Mark?
what? No, Johnny Brzezinski just really, that's who we're going to send our top wing prospect to try to develop with. And Ottman's actually played really good. But stop. They got
All right,
the Rangers
so
have too many
I'm gonna
prima
step
donnas
in
on
here.
this team.
I'm gonna
They only
step in
care
here.
about themselves.
Hold on.
Goodbye.
I gotta step in here. Johnny Brodzinski has actually turned himself into a decent 4th liner. And I've been hard on him in the past, but he has done some good. Especially if you look at his numbers the last 2 seasons, he's done a lot of good for this team. The other thing is, I don't know if you saw it, Mark, but there was an MSG little segment that they had where Will Cooley and Johnny Brodzinski were interviewing each other, and it shouldn't be a surprise to anybody that Johnny Brodzinski is doing what he's doing, and he's the guy that's really kind of working with the young guys and bringing them under his wing, because Will Cooley was under his wing in Hartford, and Will Cooley spoke very, very highly of Johnny Brodzinski. So
Okay, then great. Have him on the team next year. But you don't need to be.
well, he is on the team next year.
Yeah,
I mean,
but-
he got himself a new contract this year, and you know what? Honestly, they need more guys like that are going to help these young kids along, because this organization has been bereft of them for God knows how long. And why do you think these guys are just flaming out? Why do you think Lafreniere has had the trouble developing that he's had developing? 1, he's not been put in optimal spots to perform. And 2, there hasn't been the guidance.
Yeah. Hands down with that one, Phil, because look, now I'm a little bit more calm. I could refer to Johnny Brodzinski, who's had some good games, like his 2-goal game against Vancouver Canucks. But it's just that it's sort of like he's sort of like a guy that's just not popped. So let's stop. But getting back to the point I was trying to make before, stop looking at the same retreads over and over again. Rick Tocchet, John Tortorella, who would have his 3rd stint with the New York Rangers, because let's not forget his first one, which was only 4 games, but still it was at least 1 stint. But no, stop going back to the well. Speaking about which, the Philadelphia Flyers, they're currently drafting 4th right now for this year's NHL draft. Phil, the Flyers have put themselves in the ideal position to draft James Hagens.
Anthony's face.
My face, not because of what Mark said, it's because the thought of Hagens going to the Flyers is just
Okay. I was about to say, what is going on here?
Because they obviously put themselves in good position, but is this the ideal position for them?
The last thing I think I want the Flyers, the last thing I want to see the Flyers get is either Matthew Schaefer is probably the last guy I want them to get, because that's going to fix their defense. And then you're going to have him and Cam York highlighting that defense going forward. The other guy that I don't want to see them getting is Michael Misa, because that guy is going to come in and he's going to learn from Sean Couturier on how to be a great 2-way player at this level. And that's a guy that I can see being a point per game guy that's a Selke finalist yearly. Man, oh my God, Mark. Yeah, I'd have to say round, but I mean, I'm only saying it because they're in a good position to draft a great player in this top 5 of this draft because that's likely where they're going to finish. So, yeah.
Anthony?
I mean, it's going to be sickening to me that the one time an actual Long Island-born player was a fan of the Islanders instead of the Rangers, not to mention a high-end one, might end up on the Philadelphia Flyers. I mean, that's just awful. But yeah, it's around. Granted, anything can happen in the lottery. The Flyers can win it and get Schaefer or someone else. They can move down. But right now, if they pick fourth, a lot of the mocks at this point have Schaefer as number 1 and Misa as number 2. So if they stay 4, there is a good chance they miss out on both of those. But it's not a given, that Hagens would go 3 to Nashville. There are some mocks where I've seen Denoyers as actually his number 3. So
Denoya, yeah.
Yeah, so it's
Frondell.
Yeah, so it's possible that Hagens is gone and Nashville takes him, but it's not a lock. So yeah, the Hagens could fall to the Flyers at 4. There's a very real possibility of that. I think at this point, the only 2 guys they're not getting if they stayed at 4 are Schaefer and Misa, because I think they have established themselves as 1 and 2. I do. I would be surprised if that didn't go as the first 2 picks. So yeah, I mean this is around, but Hagens or somebody else, they're definitely getting a good player.
Yeah, very good player. Yeah.
Yeah, it's an easy hat trick on this and round because I mean you got to look at Nashville. I think is the one that you'd look at and go maybe they take Hagens because Nashville's never had a center like him ever to be a number 1 prospect. I know David Legwand was supposed to be that early on in their franchise history and never really developed that great to be that great. He became a pretty good player. Don't get me wrong. But I think if Nashville's got the shot at him, you take Hagens. But he might fall to him. After all, Michkov fell all the way to them at 7. So you never know sometimes. And staying with one more college topic, you look at the recent Hobey Baker Trophy winners: Macklin Celebrini, Adam Fantilli, Cole Caulfield, Cale Makar, Jack Eichel, and even Johnny Gaudreau going back over a decade. The Hobey Baker Trophy is becoming a relevant award towards future NHL success. Anthony.
I would say beer. Lately, yeah, the players you named all coincidentally became, really good NHL players. But, sometimes they're guys, and I know this is a long time ago now, so you're not talking current, but just the point, like, Jason Krog won, Krog, however you really want to pronounce it, but he won the Hobey Baker Award way back when. So it doesn't necessarily always translate that the player that wins that's going to be like a high-end NHL player. But lately it seems trending that way. But I'll still say beer because sometimes it still just goes to a guy that was good in college but never becomes a top productive player at the highest level.
Phil?
So looking back at the history of the award, there's one Hall of Famer who's ever won it. Can you guess who that Hall of Famer is?
I can. Anthony?
Korea?
Yeah,
you're correct.
Correct. 1993 with Maine. He had that 100-point season. It was stupid. But there are a lot of names on here that a lot of people that are not going to either know or remember. I mean, Tony Herkus, decent player at the NHL level, hit a 120-point season in North Dakota one year. Scott Pellerin, Brian Holzinger was a decent player. Brendan Morrison, not a bad guy. Chris Drury had a good career. Ryan Miller, Mike Monow, Peter Senya, Junior Lassard, Matt Gilroy, Kevin Porter, Blake Jeffrion. For every Jimmy Vesey or for every Johnny Gaudreau or Jack Eichel or Cale Makar or Cole Caulfield or Adam Fantilli or Macklin Celebrini you get one of these other guys. So, I mean, in the last few years, in the last 5 award, or the last 5 award winners were Scott Perunovich, Cole Caulfield, Dryden McKay, Adam Fantilli, Macklin Celebrini. And then before that, the year before that was Cal McCarr. But the few years before that were Adam Gaudette, Will Butcher, Jimmy Vesey, and then Jack Eichel and Johnny Gaudreau, and then Drew LeBlanc. I don't think he even played in the NHL. Jack Connolly, I don't even think he even played in the NHL. So I'm going to say beer. I do think that you may end up seeing it become more relevant in the future, just because I think there's starting to become a power shift towards the NCAA. And not only that, but the CHL players being able to join the NCAA, that definitely is going to be a game changer as well for them.
Yeah, using the word becoming, I'm right there with you on it because, look, if you go back, you look at Johnny Gaudreau, who absolutely had an outstanding career, especially with the Calgary Flames. Then you had Jack Eichel, who went number 2 in the draft, outstanding career, Stanley Cup champion, potential Selke Award winner soon. He could get it this year. But then you're looking at guys like Cale Makar, obviously consummate trophy winner, Stanley Cup champion. But like you said before, right before that was Adam Gaudette and Jimmy Vesey, not exactly breaking their way into the Hall of Fame. But I do think it is becoming relevant, and it is becoming more relevant. You look at the crop over the last 11 years, Phil, those are some pretty stout players that have won this award.
Yes.
And we're a far cry away from Matt Carl winning it and being.
Well, Matt Carl was a decent defenseman at the NHL level. He had a 40-point season as a defenseman in San Jose. So
that was back when it was a little bit harder to do that. But I mean, Will Butcher is even in the NHL now. Had a good season, first season with the Devils, and then second season not that great, and then he's been on a milk carton ever since. So
I mean, the only thing that's tough about this award is that sometimes it ends up going to an overager who doesn't really have much of a future in the NHL, and that's where it gets skewed. So I mean, Porter Martone could be another. Yeah, it's more indication more. I agree with Nicholas here. Welcome to the show, by the way, because I don't think we've seen you in here before. But
and we've highlighted him twice so far.
Well, no, I'm saying before today.
Yeah.
But yes, I think Nicholas is right about that. I really do. I mean, THG's bringing up a good point. I mean, Porter Martone, if he heads to the NCAA, that's a big get for them because he's another one that could be in the top 5 of this year's draft.
Mm-hmm.
So,
all right. Well, guys, that's the end of Big Apple Hockey's Bar Talk. We gauge our confidence on NHL topics based on our choice of drink. Let's do some Big Apple Hockey Pick Ems. Hopefully we can get Anthony out there in a minute. Or actually, hey, Phil, do you want to do a blind ranking while we're waiting for Anthony to get back?
Sure. Why not?
You have a choice. You have either young NHL players to watch or best fictional hockey players.
Young NHL players to watch.
Young NHL players to watch. Okay, so we're doing a blind ranking, and let's get them in there. We have the blind rankings. Phil.
All right, I'm gonna highlight this before we start.
Go ahead.
I don't know if it's gonna overtake juniors, but I do think that it's going to be something that a lot of players are going to think about. The thing is that you're going to have to be there and you're going to have to try to get an education and balance education and hockey, and that's very, very tough. It's very, very tough with their schedules. So I will say that I think the gap is going to become microscopic at some point. I don't think we're there yet, but the gap is being closed year by year, and you're seeing a lot more top talents go to the NCAA instead of the Canadian juniors. But the thing is, the CHL, it still is the most direct path to the league, to the big show. So,
all right, young NHL players to watch. All right, let's go right now. Phil, we'll start with the New York Rangers and Gabriel Perreault.
we're doing 5, right?
Going 5, yeah.
4.
All right, let's go to his former teammate in Washington, Ryan Leonard.
1.
Let's go to a guy that played in Michigan. He's been playing a little bit with the Chicago Blackhawks. Still waiting for him to take off. Frank Nazar.
5.
And the guy that's playing second fiddle to Macklin Celebrini in San Jose, Will Smith.
3.
And lastly, to St. Louis, to the USA player that just made his debut recently, Jimmy Snuggerud.
Oh, it's got to be 2.
Yeah. Ryan Leonard, excited to see what he's going to be and what he's going to bring to the table, Phil. But, I loved when Ovi didn't go out for the empty net and Leonard got his first one. And also that realization of that you're the 893 goals away from your teammate. So, but that's always a good one.
Yeah, I don't think anybody is looking at it that way. You can't look at it that way. You got to worry about it on a game-by-game basis and just go out there and bring the effort. I hate the fact that Ryan Leonard is a capital because that's a guy that I wish the Rangers could have gotten. I do like Gabriel Perreault a lot. I really do. I just think Ryan Leonard is going to be something like a Matthew Tkachuk. And that's really going to be that's a player. That's the type of core player you want on your team.
Well, hey, Phil, you want to do the other one too, the fictional hockey players?
Sure, why not?
Let's bring it on. Best fictional hockey players. We're going to go just from movies, by the way. These are just from movies. And Phil, we got to start off with the guy that wore 99, Adam Banks.
I'm going to go 5.
Wow. All right. Let's go with to the Charleston Chiefs and Reggie Dunlop.
4.
Let's go to the Mustangs to Dean Youngblood.
1.
I love the meme, by the way, that says he was so good. He started out as a right-handed shot and then became a lefty shot, or he switched hands later on. Going number 4, he wore number 69, Doug Glatt. And this is the movie Goon, by the way.
Yeah, I got to go 3, I guess, on that.
And unfortunately, the last slot that's available goes to Adam Banks' teammate, Charlie Conway.
It's got to be 2 then. The only reason why I put Banks there is because, he was so young. We couldn't tell what he became. If they're even when he comes back in Mighty Ducks Game Changers, there's no mention of how far any of those guys got.
Yeah.
In hockey, that's really the thing for me. So it's tough. If I had more of a background on how far those guys got with their careers, I could have put Adam Banks a lot higher, maybe probably number 1. But I mean, in terms of how far they got, Youngblood was playing junior.
Yeah,
I mean, that junior level, that junior league was kind of weird because Racky looked like he was 40 years old. But I have to say, in terms of the skill and then the level he played at, I guess that would be the highest level. But then there's also, a matter of Steve Thomas being the one that's doing the whole, puck tricks with his feet and everything like that. So I got to give Steve Thomas.
Actually, it was Peter Zezel that did all that.
Oh, it was Peter Zezel? I always
Peter
told
Zezel.
it was Steve Thomas.
Yeah, no, it was Peter Zezel. Let's pull Anthony out for a minute and get him down there. All right, but we're gonna get. Oh, Anthony's back. All right, nice.
Hey, there he is.
Anthony, excellent timing. By the way,
that nice home run.
Did you just out of curiosity, because I missed the beginning of the show? Did you guys touch on Ray Sherrill dying?
yeah, we really didn't touch on that yet.
Oh.
Because my first thought was Freddie the Fog. Then I went, oh my God, no, Ray Shero passed away.
Yeah.
That's very sad. And he's only 62 years old too. That's
That's really young. I mean,
Yeah.
I remember him being the general manager of the Devils and
Penguins
and
too.
him looking so young, and the lineage there and everything like that.
Yeah.
I would have never expected this. It's a shame. Rest in peace.
Yeah.
Sad. Did they say
Yeah.
what happened with him? Or
No, I didn't see. I don't think that was revealed yet.
It's awful.
Yeah.
Absolutely awful.
Well, guys, it's going to be hard to segue out of that, but we're going to go to the Big Apple Hockey Pick Ems. Let's go right to this one first. The likely star to stay hot since February 22nd. That's a return from the break, the Four Nations break. Nick Suzuki or Robert Thomas. They're 1 and 2 in scoring right now since the break. Anthony.
Oh, it's tough. I'm gonna go Nick Suzuki. I don't honestly. I mean, this is really a toss up. So I'm just basing it off of gut, no really concrete reasoning. I mean, the one thing I'll say is that both teams are extremely hot too, so they have that in common. But I just think Nick Suzuki's starting to emerge as like a true difference maker, number one center. I know for a while there it's kind of like his contract that he got, but him and Cole Caulfield have great chemistry. The Habs are going to be jacked up to be in the playoffs. So I'll go Suzuki, but it could easily be Robert Thomas too.
Phil?
Yeah, I mean, Anthony is pretty much right about this. This is a total toss-up. I mean, Robert Thomas, St. Louis literally only has 3 games left. That's crazy to think about. We're obviously going to talk about playoffs too at that point.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, St. Louis, if they make it, which they're definitely going to, but I mean, we have yet to determine who they're going to face because they're wild card 1, but Minnesota has a game in hand and they're only 2 points back, so that's kind of subject to change. So right now they're set to face Las Vegas. I don't like either of these matchups for either of these teams. I don't think the Capitals are a good matchup for Montreal. I don't think St. Louis the Golden Knights are a good matchup for St. Louis, and that's a team that nobody's talking about right now is Vegas. I do agree that Suzuki is a much better defensive center, but Robert Thomas is actually a pretty good defensive center too. Mm-hmm. Don't sleep on Robert Thomas. The only reason why I might lean towards Robert Thomas is because I is the matchup. I think Robert Thomas may be able to score against them. I don't know if Nick Suzuki is going to have success against Washington in that first round. And I honestly hope.
Sorry, I was deleting that.
You can't delete it.
All right.
I tried to. So, actually,
I banned them again, but you already
got
that too.
I deleted it. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say I'm going to say Robert Thomas, probably just because you know what's funny? They don't have they're both 2017 first rounders, same age, same draft, both two-way players, both more playmakers than goal scorers. Suzuki has the better supporting cast around him, like by far, a much better supporting cast. But I think St. Louis is a little more battle tested in terms of their playoff experience. So just to be a contrarian to Anthony, I'm gonna go Thomas because he went Suzuki.
I'm going with Suzuki. You score that goal with 7.7 seconds remaining or something like that. I always go to 7.7, but it was like might have been 8.7 seconds in reality. But he's been on a magic carpet ride very much for a while. He's really grown as a player, loving what he's bringing to the game. And again, not even thinking about whether any slight against Robert Thomas. I'm just thinking Nick Suzuki's on a magic carpet ride. By the way, just really quick, Louis asking right here, Cooper is available 2026. What do you think? I think he stays in Tampa.
Yeah, I do not see him leaving Tampa Bay. I would love to get him. I think he's the best coach in the NHL. I think he's another one that's going straight into the Hall of Fame when his career is over. I would love to see it, but don't think it's happening.
Phil, speaking about coaching jobs, who has done a better coaching job down the stretch, Travis Green or Marty St. Louis?
I'm going to go with my boy Marty St. Louis. I love Marty. Everyone that knows me knows I love Marty, especially you and Anthony and Dave. Thank you for that again. That was one of the coolest birthday gifts I have ever gotten. But Marty St. Louis for me. The thing, and I said it in the chat in here earlier on, I think to A2ZME. What impresses me most about Marty St. Louis is that he got a very young team to buy in and believe, despite the fact that they were not playing well this season. It looked like his job might be in the hot seat.
Yep.
There were questions about him and whether or not he was good enough for this level, but he got them to believe and to buy in. And that is quite the accomplishment with that young of a team that's inexperienced as they are. So, yes, he's getting big performances from Nick Suzuki and Cole Caulfield closing in on 40 goals. We always said Cole Caulfield was going to be a great goal scorer. That's kind of like, the sun rises in the in the west or in the east and sets in the west, so on. Sky is blue, yada yada yada. But they're just the buying in and the belief and the coming back in games. It shows the fight that they have, and that team's got heart. Could they upset Washington? Yeah, they could. Do I want them to? Yeah, I actually do. I do if that ends up being the match. I hope they do. But I will tell you right now, Marty St. Louis, what he's doing, and no offense to Travis Green, because Travis Green finally got this Ottawa team over the hump, because we've been saying, for 3 years now, they're going to take that next step and they're going to get better. They're going to be the team and they're going to finally make the playoffs. So Travis Green, hat goes off to him as well. But I think what Marty St. Louis, the way that this team is playing, is more impressive to me than Travis Green. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, you're perfectly okay with saying that. I'm just going to check one thing, Phil, because I want to check the standings going back. My answer was going to be Marty St. Louis. Because of you, I have to change that answer now. But you look at where the Canadiens were in the wild card standings on February 22nd. They were 5 points out, a point behind the Rangers. Ottawa had a stranglehold on everything. It looked like maybe Detroit was going to finally make it. But instead, they dug deep, and their goal differential, minus 28. Now, their goal differential is a minus 17. They're a plus 11 in that time, and they've been incredible. I got to go with that Marty St. Louis has done the better job, but Travis Green's done an outstanding job, and especially trying to keep them consistent throughout that entire thing, this entire run. And matter of fact, they've kind of been hot, they've kind of been cold, but he's done what a couple coaches have not been able to do with this team already. Waiting on Filk. We lost Filk for a second. Let's see if we can get him back. Hi, everybody. We're going to move me over there. Darn, I had a couple more Pick Ems. We actually had we got a good segment with this. Let's go to some of your comments while we're waiting, guys. 4 righties on power play 1. Yeah. Which that's amazing just to even think about. Marty turned Josh Anderson into a terrific defensive forward. All those words, you never thought they were going to be in the same sentence. Yeah, I'm not excited about Kucherov, Kuznetsov's contract. Not Kucherov, Kuznetsov. I just don't know how much he's got left. And we got Phil back right now, so let's get back in over there.
Sorry, my laptop died.
Currently, right now, I have no plans for the Frozen Four, although I will be working tomorrow night for Game 2. So feel free to come on down. Boss Croakers, 1871 Wantagh Avenue. So we could always watch game, talk some pucks. I obviously, if you guys don't know, my usual job is I'm a bartender, and we're known for our wings. So come on down. Speaking of which, Carl came down the other night, so it was a nice little fun time seeing Carl. So, by the way, Phil, the next one, more likely to go to the Stanley Cup Final, the Kings or the Canes?
Canes, just because I see an easier, a more wide open road in the East. I look at Tampa, Florida as like the 2 teams that I think could really come out of the East. The Canes don't impress me all that much. I think that the Kings, they have too many weapons in the West. Like, can they beat Edmonton finally? Like, that's like the biggest thing for me. Can they beat Edmonton? And I don't know if they still can or not. I really don't. And then you have Dallas. Colorado is vastly improved. Winnipeg, I think, is a better team than the Kings. I just don't think the Kings have enough scoring to get over the hump against a lot of these teams. Vegas, I don't think they're a better team than Vegas. Yeah, I don't know. No, I'm going to say Canes.
Wow. I'm going to have to go Canes too. And we got Anthony to get back in on this one. We got sorry, Anthony. Anthony, more likely to go to the Stanley Cup Final, the Kings or the Canes?
I don't have confidence in either one of them to make it all the way to the Stanley Cup Final, but if I had
to pick one.
I guess I'll do the Canes just because I think they're going to beat the Devils in round 1. Which I'm really confident of. The Kings, I'm not so sure they even get out of the first round. So because of that, I'll do the Canes.
Yeah, and I agree with you guys on those. I got to go with the Canes, only because you look at the Kings, I think their second round matchup might be harder than the Canes, because the Canes end up getting Montreal. Let's say, for instance, I still think Washington's going to the Eastern Conference Finals. But if they get Montreal, that's a different story. But the Kings, if they're eliminated in the first round, this is not a season for them to be embarrassed about. They've at least progressed this season. More to prove in the net. Anthony, will go to you first. Logan Thompson or Philip Gustafson?
I guess I'll go Logan Thompson just because, well, first off, he's already had a good year, so I'm sure he's probably happy about that to kind of stick it to Vegas. But I would say him because, in the playoffs, it's going to be his time to show that, not only could he play well in the regular season, but he could be relied upon when the stakes get higher in the playoffs. So I think he's going to be super motivated. So I'll go Logan Thompson.
Phil?
He doesn't have a Stanley Cup. He was on the team, but he was injured. And they don't credit him as being a cup winner. I've got to go with Gustafsson because he's the real wild card here. Like, we know Logan Thompson is good, but I mean, Philip Gustafsson has to prove that he can win in the playoffs. He's got to prove that he is the guy that can get it done. Like, he's got 5 playoff games under his belt, and while his numbers are good, 921 save percentage, 233 goals against, he has a 2-3 record. So he's got to be the guy that's got to come up and really prove himself here.
Yeah, I got to go with Philip Gustafsson because he just hasn't been able to show it yet in the playoffs. And we'll see on that. I'm actually surprised, Phil. So Logan Thompson isn't officially a Stanley Cup champion?
Hockey Reference doesn't have him as a Stanley Cup winner.
Okay. How about that? Even though he was on the roster, but not.
He played 37 games in the regular season, and then he didn't. I mean, I don't understand it. I would love to know what the parameters are there then, because I thought for a backup goalie, the numbers would be less. Like, I know for like a skater, I think you have to play like half the games in the regular season, or you have to play like one game in the final or something like that.
Well, Quick suited up for all those, I think. So,
yeah,
that might be one of the reasons why as well. All right, guys, remember earlier on the program when we had those Devils fans trolls? Well, I'm going to smile right now because since 2022, this is coming back from the break, the Devils 10-10-1, Edmonton 10-11-1.
Who's NJI?
Oh, whatever. I don't think it's NJI. I think it's NJ divided, whatever it is. NJ, there we go. There's the Devils. So anyway, more likely to turn it on in the playoffs, Mr. Larocco.
The Oilers. McDavid, Draisaitl. That's all I have to say about that.
Mm-hmm. Phil?
Oilers, Jack Hughes, and that they're not built for playoff hockey. They can talk about their playoff spot, whatever. Wow, yeah. At least I know that Connor McDavid is going to go into the playoffs. He's probably going to, even if they lose in the first round, Connor McDavid is going to put up 2 points per game in the playoffs. It's disgusting what he can do. And then Leon Draisaitl, if he's healthy, is going to be right there with him, which he wasn't last year in the finals. He was playing through an injury. So, yeah, it's definitely the Oilers for me. I don't even have to think about this. And not only that, but Jacob Markstrom, he still has to prove that he can do something in the playoffs. Stuart Skinner's accomplished more in the playoffs than he has. That's sad.
Yeah, Jesus. If you're being compared to Jacob Markstrom, I'm sorry, Stuart Skinner is the better goalie in that. By the way, Jacob Markstrom this season, I think he's got under a 900 save percentage right now. Oh yeah, 899.
Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah, that ain't going to get it done, as the kids would say. All right, guys, that's the end of Big Apple Hockey's Pick Ems. Anthony, actually, I'll throw this one back to you real quick.
Sure.
Better coaching job, Travis Green or Marty St. Louis?
St. Louis.
All right. Yeah, we all said St. Louis anyway. All right. Well, so that's the end of that one. I got a couple name these players, but would you rather do Puckdoku, guys?
I don't care, whatever you choose, Mariota.
Let's go to Puckdoku because one of the ones I had for the name this player was Marek Zidlicki. I think you guys would get that one pretty easily. Only number 1 draft pick to play for the Islanders and the Rangers, guys?
What?
Only number 1 overall draft pick to play for the Islanders and the Rangers?
First overall?
First overall.
Wait, hold on. What was the question again? I'm
Who's
sorry.
the only number 1 overall draft pick to play for the Rangers and the Islanders?
Number 1 overall pick to play for the Rangers and the Islanders. It's got to be Brian
Oh,
Berard.
actually,
Brian Berard.
I'm sorry.
Brian Berard,
I screwed it
yeah.
up. There's 2 of them.
So Brian Berard is one of them.
Brian Berard's one of them. There's one more.
Yeah, Brian Berard's one of them because he was drafted first.
Brian
overall
Berard's a
in
trick
95.
question because he was drafted number 1 overall by Ottawa, traded to the Islanders. For
It's not really a trick question. He was drafted first
No, it's not
overall.
a trick question. He was drafted first overall. Doesn't
When he
matter.
was traded to the Islanders, that's why everybody forgets.
So what does that matter?
But what does that matter, though?
It's not really true. All right, it's not a trick question. I spoke a little bit too freely right there, but
So there's another one. Let's see. Number 1 overall picks that have played for the Rangers and the Islanders.
he also played with the Edmonton Oilers. As I'm going to just shove this one in there, guys. He also played with the Edmonton Oilers.
Roman Hammerlick.
Yeah, it's Roman. Yeah, 92.
All right.
Yeah, Mark tricked himself. Like this.
Yeah, I screwed
He
that one up.
tricked himself
All right,
into
that's
Jason
terrible.
Bunsky territory.
Because you know what? I've used that one before. All right, so let's go. Let's go to Puckdoku, guys. The other guy I had ready to go was Ruslan Saleh, but nah. All right. So we got the Puckdoku that's right over here. We'll start
Yes,
with.
he did.
Yes, he did.
He was the guy that was basically juked out of his pants with Ovechkin spin move and then goal to Bryce.
Mhm.
If I remember correctly.
He was.
All right.
Let's go
Yeah.
full screen here.
All right. Yeah, we'll go full screen. All right, here we go. Your top row is Blues, Flyers, Nashville Predators, Florida, Blackhawks, and Oilers going the other way. Who wants to start?
Florida, St. Louis. I could go Sean Hill.
Sean Hill is always a good one. I think he would have worked for no, he wouldn't work for Nashville.
Mark,
Yes.
you know what I'm gonna say right now.
Constant Cross. Oh, Gerald Diddick.
No, you were right the first time.
All right. Doug Crossman.
Which the question is which square was I gonna use him in? Because you could use him in 2.
Edmonton and
Nope.
St. Louis.
Wrong.
Flyers and Oilers.
No, you could use him Blackhawks Blues or Blackhawks Flyers. You pick, Mark.
Yeah.
We'll go Blackhawks Blues. Doug Crossman. There we go.
Florida Flyers. Try Andre Lomakin.
0.6. We're still at a 0, boys.
Philadelphia and Chicago. Patrick Sharp is too obvious. That's a
Yes.
no.
Ryan Hartman's too obvious.
Ryan Hartman didn't play for Philly.
Oh no, I'm sorry. He did?
Eric Weinrich, I think, would be like a 1 or a 2%. I think for
Ryan Hartman did play for Philly.
Yeah, he played for Philly 2019, Philk.
Yeah.
Wait, when?
2019, 19 games.
Oh shit. Okay, I still think that's going to be too obvious.
There's we got to get to another one. St. Louis and the Oilers, other than Grant Fuhr, I'm trying to remember other ones. Eric Brewer would be one.
Chicago and Nashville. I wonder if Sergei Krivo Krasov, what he would be for that one.
I actually think he would be. Oh, it's Creever. Go with Kriver Krasov?
Sure.
2%.
Okay. Figured. Nashville, Florida. Tom Fitzgerald's going to be too high, I think.
For what? Florida, Nashville?
Florida and Nashville, yeah.
I was going to say, I don't think so. I don't think Tom Fitzgerald would be that high. What's the rest of the chat saying?
Try Billy Peltonen for Florida, Nashville.
Billy Peltonen. Billy Peltonen, 1%.
Okay. Nashville, Edmonton.
Chicago and I'm missing somebody right there. Sworn he played for the Hawks. Kim Janssen, that could be one for Chicago and Flyers.
That might be high.
Mm.
Not crazy high, but high.
Well, we already got a 2%er. I'll make at least some contribution. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, wait. Now I'm trying to think if Alexander Digg ended up getting to Chicago.
No, he didn't. For Nashville, Edmonton, you could definitely you could use Drake Barahowski.
Love Drake Barahowski, Nashville, Edmonton. Love the Drake, hate the Drake.
Wow, that's a 1%. I'm surprised.
He's a 1%er.
Wow. Edmonton and
Cam Talbot would be too high up here, right?
Yeah. Scott Mellenby would also be too high.
Which square are you trying to do?
Edmonton and Philadelphia.
Edmonton and Philly, huh?
It's not a Gerald Diddick or an Adam Creighton.
What about
Philadelphia, right?
What about Sean Podine?
Did he play for Edmonton?
Pretty sure he did.
I'll double check that real quick before saying yes.
Yes, he did when he in the early 90s.
Sean Podine. Gotta tell you, I loved him when he was on
Colorado.
He was a good one. Adam Creighton played for Edmonton and St. Louis, right?
I don't think he played for Edmonton.
All right. I knew he played.
I know he played. I don't think he played for Philadelphia either.
Played for Tampa Bay, St. Louis, the Islanders, Buffalo, and maybe I'm missing one more team. I got to check.
Chicago Blackhawks. He would have been for St. Louis and the Blackhawks. He would have been a good one.
And we could have used Crossman for Philadelphia and Chicago.
That's
pretty sure Crossman played for Philly.
He did. Yeah.
Everybody, when you play this game, that's how you could just easily change things up.
You could do you could complete that left side with another Islanders defenseman there, Jeff Norton.
Jeff Norton, love it. Go with him. Better than using Eric Brewer because he would be too high. I was going to say,
could you've used like Lubos Bartechko or Vladislav Cohn?
Louis Bartechko. I remember.
No, Bartechko never played for Edmonton.
He played for St. Louis and then Atlanta. All right, so we just got Chicago, Philly to fill out, guys.
Did Elaine or Alan Nasruddin ever play for Philly? Because I know he played for Chicago. Don't know if he played for Philly though.
Elaine Nasruddin, no, he played for the Blackhawks, Canadiens, and the Islanders, the Bruins, Penguins. I mean.
All right.
Chicago and Philly.
Was he the coach over there for a little bit with Chicago? He looks
Nasruddin?
Yeah.
I think he might have been. I don't know if you mentioned it, but Daniel Carcillo you could use, but it would probably be high.
Yeah, no, Carbon would definitely be high.
Matthias Tamander never played for Chicago.
Oh, wait a minute. Well, I look at one of the old guys that used to always play with their. Somehow Michel Petit did not play for the Chicago Blackhawks.
That would have been a good one too. Gazin Collmore? Did he play for Philly?
Collmore might. Did he?
No, Collmore never played for Philly. He played for the Blackhawks though.
Did Todd Fedoruk ever play for Chicago?
Carl Dykhouse?
Carl Dykhouse could
Carl
be.
Dykhouse did. Yeah, Carl Dykhouse did.
Carl Dykhouse matches?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Carl Dykhouse then. Carl Dykhouse. We got a uniqueness of 4, boys. And let's go on to the pyramid.
My favorite.
The pyramid, starting with 100 goals scored. 100 goals scored in their career.
It's actually probably pretty easy, but all right.
Domi.
Patrick Flatley.
Patrick Flatley could be one, yeah.
Now we'll go Pat Flatley. Because I think he didn't get to 100 to 200. So
okay, now 200 goals scored in their career.
Okay.
Steve Vickers.
Going Steve Vickers. 200. Now we got to go 400.
400.
400. Anthony, who do you got?
Oh, my God. Did Tony McKegney hit 400?
Steve Thomas.
Steve Thomas, I think, would be a good one. We might need to hold him for a little bit longer.
No, McKegney didn't hit 400.
Hold him? Why? He didn't score 600.
Oh, no, you're right. Anthony, I thought he got the 500. But Anthony, yeah, 600 is the next one. I say Steve Thomas because not a lot of people are going to realize he scored 400 goals. There's some good ones that could be in there. 600 goal club, guys.
List is obviously getting shorter. That just a matter of picking the most obscure 600 goal scorer.
Mike Gartner.
No, Mike Gartner is going to be pretty well known. You could look towards maybe a Dave Andreychuk.
Dave Andreychuk, okay.
That would be somebody who you may not think of as a guy that scored 600 goals.
And he notched 640, by the way.
Yeah, he was the all-time leader in power play goals before he retired.
Correct. Definitely not Mario.
No, Mario would be too obvious. Messier would be too obvious. Eisman would be too obvious. Sakic would be too obvious.
Mm-hmm.
Yager is too obvious.
Luke Robitaille.
Luke Robitaille is, again, too obvious.
Yari Curry's got 601.
Yari Curry is very obvious, though. A lot of people will know that Yari Curry was a 600 goal scorer, but they'll be shocked that he only had 601.
I think Mike Gartner would be the forgotten guy, by the way.
I don't think so at all.
I don't think so at all either.
I think our age, we all know he had the most consecutive 30-goal seasons. But
let's see. Marcel Dion would be way too noticed. Would be way too. Marcel Dion.
How about? Sorry. How about Dino Ciccarelli?
Bingo. I think that's the one we go with. 608.
I think that might be the best option there.
Oh, Dino Ciccarelli. There we go. Dino Ciccarelli, we've got a uniqueness score of 1. 800 plus goals.
Oh, gee. I wonder how many guys we could use.
There's only 3 guys that we can look at there. So
who do you think is going to get us less points?
Got to be Gordie Howe.
Okay, we're going Howe. Because, see, that's where it's got to be. We got to place one of them there. Like, we probably could have gone Wayne Gretzky for 600 if we really thought about it. Howe gets you that. And, obviously, at 895 goals, the top of the pyramid, Alexander Ovechkin. At least they don't penalize you for that.
I mean, there's only literally one guy that you can go to. How can they penalize you for it?
Right. But all right, Gordie Howe got 40% of the vote.
This stat still staggers me completely.
Yeah.
He had 103 points as a 40-year-old. That's just one of the best seasons you'll ever see for anyone above the age of like 35, I would say.
Yeah.
So by the way, the under 1% answers, Luke Robitaille, Brendan Shanahan, and you could have used Alexander Ovechkin, but you would have been
You would have been
mistaken.
I mean, Ovechkin's season is very impressive this year at 39, but Howe still impresses me more at 40 years old at that time. And it was a 100-point, 40-plus goal season. And that was a career year for him offensively, which is the craziest part about it. I mean, I know it was at the dawn of expansion, so scoring was going up like crazy, but the fact that he was still one of the best players in the entire NHL that year, just that blows my mind.
Joe Graves, Mark, it must feel pretty good knowing my wife loves me for my looks. Well, looks only get you so far. By the way, I had this poll that was up earlier. We're going to close it right now, which is who do you blame for the Rangers' lack of success this season? 62% said Chris Drury. The current players only get 25%. Peter Laviolette 9% and Jacob Trouba 2%. But which actually, Anthony's not in right now. That was one of the questions that I did want to ask. I didn't get around to it. Phil, Alexander Ovechkin has the most goals all time. Is he the greatest goal scorer of all time?
Career-wise, yes. He's not the greatest goal scorer I've ever seen, though. I'm still going to take Pavel Bure over him. I would say even Mario Lemieux was probably a better goal scorer in terms of scoring, actual scoring talent. I mean, Ovechkin became a very one-dimensional type goal scorer. And yes, like we said the other day, it's Mariano Rivera. You know what's coming. You still can't do anything about it, which,
yeah,
I mean, it really is a testament to his greatness. But Mario Lemieux, even into his late 30s, was scoring in so many different ways. Like when he came back in 2001 season, he had, 34 goals in 43 games? It was stupid. He was on pace for 130 points. He would have absolutely led the league in scoring had he played the full year. For me, and I also look at Mike Bossy. What could have been? Could that have been a guy that I think for sure he would have scored 800 goals had he not retired so early and had he been healthy? I wonder if he could have hit 1,000. I really do. I know that there would have been a slowdown in the 90s, but I mean, he would have played probably until about the mid-90s, and he would have put up, I want to say, 900 goals. I mean, I feel like if he stayed healthy, you could almost lock him in at 900 goals.
I'll say this before
1,000 is another story.
I'll say this right now before I throw it down to Anthony. But Mike Bossy, this is where errors need to come into play, because they tried to ask Wayne Gretzky the other day. Oh yeah, you imagine like that wide open 80s, People were taking Gretzky's head off. He had shadows. He had there were so many disadvantages being the 80s. This is what I'll say for Mike Bossy. I think modern medicine would have helped his back more, because he would have had chiropractors, everybody helping him out. The story, and I'm going to tell the story and then throw it down to him, that Brian Trottier told about him laying in the trainer's room just in absolute pain. They had to put the skates on him. Then he goes out and scores 2 goals in Minnesota.
Yeah.
Like that was Mike Bossy. And you could have gotten him 6 more years. I think it was 33. He scored 33 goals his last year where he was physically unable to play the game. Anthony, go ahead.
Dogs agree with you. He has the highest goals per game all time.
0.76.
Yep.
573 goals in 752 games will do that.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with Phil. I think if he played long career, 900 goals, I think would have been a lock.
Yeah.
I could almost lock him in at 900.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to account for decline there. I could almost lock him at 900. The question, like I said, would be, does he get 1,000? That's really the issue for me, is does he get 1,000? I mean, that's a guy that had 9 straight 50-goal seasons.
Yeah.
And did you ever hear the story about how he negotiated his contract?
No.
He went up to Bill Torrey and said, if you sign me, I guarantee you I will score you 50 goals. And then what does he do? He scores 53, which was a rookie record until 1992-93, when some guy from Finland came over and absolutely destroyed him.
Yes.
Like, how good do you have to be? Like, that is one of the biggest draft blunders of all time, the Rangers. You pass that guy up twice in the same round, and he goes and does that. This guy is negotiating his contract, telling you, I will score you 50 goals as a rookie. He could have done it with the Rangers.
Phil,
oh, my God.
Phil, do you know the 2 guys they drafted instead of him?
Lucien Dubois and Ron Duguay.
Yeah, at least Ron Duguay ended up having a career. Lucien Dubois,
Was just
not that great.
Not good. Oh, not
Anthony,
that
how about Mario? What do you think about him? Would you say who would you say is the best goal scorer of all time? Is it Ovechkin?
I love Mario. Love him. But, I mean, it's such a subject because
it is super subjective.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, listen, at the end of the day, he has the most goals on anybody who's ever played in the NHL. So it's hard. Yeah. I mean, you can go by that, or you could go by what ifs, like cases like Bossy, Bore and other guys that have played, but for me, the one thing that was super impressive about Ovechkin earlier in his career, he would rip a shot by you. He would dangle you. He would go through you. Like, he was just he scored in so many different ways. And it's a guy that reminded me of Jágr, like a guy his size that moved as well as he did and stick handled the puck as well as he did. It was ridiculous. And then obviously we all know later in his career, he changed the way he played the game. And he became more one-dimensional within his office and, ripping one-timers. So I don't know. I mean, I love Ovechkin, always have. So for me, it's easy for me to say he's the greatest goal scorer of all time. But like I said, if somebody else, you want to make a case of other guys, that's certainly fine. You can. But
if you don't mind, let me make this case for Ovechkin first for you, because you look at the guys that we can mention with all this stuff. How did it with size and speed? Gretzky was more of a playmaker, but he still did it with a wrist shot and a slap shot. Brett Hull was a one-timer. How, again, deflections, I guess. You get a lot of these guys, deflections are a big thing.
Esposito was a garbage goal guy. He was great
garbage goal guy, rebounds. Alexander Ovechkin covers all those. He probably has the most devastating wrist shot of all time. He did it with deflection.
I would put him at number 2 behind Sakic. I think Joe Sakic's wrist shot is the most devastating wrist shot I've ever seen in my life.
Well, Sakic also was the release. That's the thing.
Sakic's release is just unparalleled. I don't think I've ever seen a better release on a shot than Joe Sakic. And that's no slight at Ovechkin, who is a great one himself. But fuck, man. Sakic could get shots off quicker than anyone I've ever seen. And his snapshot is by far the best snapshot I've ever seen. Like, I don't even have to think about that. I could put money down on that and just tell you right now that I watched Joe Sakic, and it's Kevin Weeks I'm talking about here. But it was after the lockout. Joe Sakic came down on a penalty shot on Kevin Weeks, and he absolutely blew a snapshot through Kevin Weeks. And I remember Kevin Weeks saying something about it on NHL Network years later, like when he first got on that panel, and he was like, Sakic absolutely blew a shot by me. And I knew the exact game he was talking about. Just so, oh my God. For a guy that was 5'10" and 185 pounds, you would think he was like 6'4", 230 the way he shot the puck.
You know why I put my top 5 wrist shots? Alexander Semin. His wrist shot. His wrist shot was
that, man.
His wrist shot was ridiculous. So unfortunately, he didn't work hard, but his wrist shot, man.
You know who's another one that falls into the same category as him that could have been a great player had he put more effort into it and just absolutely cannon of a wrist shot? Peter Nedved.
Yeah,
he did.
Nedved
had a really good release
shot I've ever seen. And I tell you, when I watched him as a Ranger, my God, it would just frustrate the shit out of me because you knew he could give you 90, 95, 96 Nedved or something close to it. But he just didn't give you that every year. And his shot was just so unbelievably good. Man. But, I mean, I got to say right now, for what he had around him and the lack of talent that he played with throughout his entire career, Pavel Bure was the best goal scorer I've ever seen. What he could do, like he didn't have a Backstrom. He didn't have a Yager or a Lemieux to play with. He didn't have those guys. He had Eric Lindros and Marty Raczynski for a 10-game span when he came to New York. And those are the two most talented line mates that he probably played with on a consistent basis. Kovalchuk's great. Oh, my God. You want to talk about an absolute
Kovalchuk is great.
Shot?
Yeah.
I always thought that Kovalchuk was one day going to rip one of those snapshots or wrist shots through the net. Like physically through the net because he shot them so hard. He's definitely top 5 wrist shot for me, my book. I would say his is better than Semin's, and Semin's was nasty. But Bure for me, like for what he did and for the talent the lack of talent he had around him, he did so much with so little. Like when he was healthy, like in the dead puck 2-line pass era, he was a lock for 50 if he was healthy. In that era with Victor Kozlov, Cliff Ronning, Trevor Linden, Murray Craven. Who the fuck are some of these guys? Like, if you ask the casual hockey fan who are some of those guys, they're not going to know who the hell they are. If you ask anyone under the age of 21 who those guys are, they're not going to know who that is. No. And Bure, 58 and 59 in back-to-back years in Florida. And the 59 goal season is even more impressive because if you look at the drop-off in scoring on that team after him, it is disgusting to see the drop-off. Like we're talking about like a 2006 Ovechkin drop-off with the Capitals that year. Like that's how bad it is. So,
by the way, Phil, that was the year that John Muckler put Brian Leach at forward when they played the Panthers.
You want to hear this drop off in scoring? Pavel Bure, 59 goals and 92 points. The next highest scorer, he only played 51 games, granted, but Victor Kozlov with 37 points.
Oh my God.
That is
how do you not get more points out of just accident?
Parity I've seen on a team in scoring from their number 1 scorer to their number 2 scorer, only behind 1982 Wayne Gretzky, who outscored Glenn Anderson by 105 points.
Yeah, that's insane.
Absurd, absolutely absurd.
All right.
I've got to get going though,
we're gonna
because I
take.
am going to the game. So I have
Yeah.
got to get going, and I will talk to all of you guys later.
See you later, man.
Later, boys.
See you later, Phil. And Anthony, we'll do this last question because my Wi-Fi has been a little bit wonky.
Yeah.
So let's get that. Let's get us together side by side. But what do you think about the idea of an Ottawa versus Washington playoff series? I know that there's a lot of hype right now for Montreal, but the truth is, Ottawa's only I'll say that they're 2 points up on Washington.
Who's 2 points?
Yeah, the Canadiens are only 3 points up on Ottawa. No, I screwed that up.
Oh,
they're 3 points up on Ottawa right now. So if the Canadiens can somehow catch Ottawa, what do you think about a Washington-Ottawa series?
it would be good, but listen, I think Washington's waxing whoever they play in the first round. I don't know how close it would be. Both Ottawa and Montreal have young, exciting, fast teams, but I think Washington would dispatch any of them in 5 games or so. I do. Capitals didn't get to where they are in the regular season standings by accident. They're a lot better than a lot of teams. So I still think Washington would handle them easily.
I do think Washington would probably handle them. I think they'd actually handle them a little bit easier than they would the Canadiens. I think the Canadiens are going to attack you with speed. Ottawa's going to try to outsize you, and you're not going to outsize Washington.
No, Washington plays a big.
That team is built with a lot of size.
They play a big, heavy game,
and they're better at it.
Yeah. You know what?
Only thing I would say for Ottawa is Ottawa would have the edge of net.
Yeah, I mean, but then again, Logan Thompson has been one of the better goalies in the league this season too. So I don't think it's as much of a difference as you think. I think Washington's Logan Thompson's played really, really well. So,
and I agree with you on that, Anthony. It'd be like a 51-49 bit.
The one thing I'll say about the playoffs this year is that as much as we would both wish our team's playing playoff hockey, it's also very stressful. So to not have to watch your team in the playoffs and have those heart palpitations during the playoff games when it's close, it'll be nice to just sit back, relax, and watch without any rooting interest.
It would be. It lets us be more objective, and this is really going to let us kind of shine, I think, better as a channel this year and talking about some of the playoff stuff that'll happen. Well, we're going to do more shows. That's a definite. We'll do some playoff talk and what's going on with the next thing. But Anthony, I'm going to let you talk about this because it'll go back to what you were talking about in the A block, and you were fired up about this in our group chat. With the Rangers already virtually eliminated and Perreault getting scratched, how the hell can you not Lavi have more of the blame? It's decision making.
It's just dumb. I mean, the games are meaningless right now. This is when you want young players to play. You want them to play because it's a stress-free environment. You don't have to worry about making a mistake that could possibly cost you points in a playoff chase. Like, this is when you want Gabe Perreault in your lineup, where he can play more freely. You can give him more minutes, thus getting a better look at him and who he could really be. Like, not playing him right now is just asinine. It doesn't make any sense. And none of that, but if you're going to be scratching the guy, why did you rush to burn a year of his entry-level deal? Like, why wouldn't you have just signed the deal and had it kick in next year? And, like, you know what I'm saying? So it's just so dumb that if they were to sit here and scratch Perreault for, let's say they scratch him again next game, it's like, why'd you even rush to get him here? So I don't know. I think it's a really stupid move to not play him. There's nothing to lose, literally. You want to see what you have in these young guys. So, yeah, you know what? Like, if it's just one game, he's back in the lineup. I guess it's not a huge deal, but like if he were scratching to be scratched again, then it really doesn't make any sense. So yeah, this is a really head scratcher for me, and whether or not it has any inkling of Laviolette's future, I don't know, but regardless, though, I think it's just a silly decision to make at this point.
It's sillier because you need to go 6-0, and this team has won 3 straight. They're not making the playoffs. That's what makes it even sillier, Anthony. And the truth also out of that is just move on. Turn the page. Get some of the young prospects in. Get them playing time. As a matter of fact, that's what you should be doing now. Just be playing. I'd start scratching everybody that doesn't show any heart. And that includes some guys that disappear during games, regardless what your numbers is. Artemi Panarin. He's been he's been a ghost half the games.
Well, don't get me started on Panarin, because again, it goes back to congratulations, Panarin. You put up points in the regular season, but where you go when the games matter, and he disappears and turns into the marshmallow man in the playoffs, and I don't want to hear about his production last year in the first round against the Capitals. And Mark, you were guilty of this a little bit at times too, mentioning, oh well, he scored 2 game-winning goals. Who cares? The Capitals were the most fraudulent. The Capitals last year were the most fraudulent playoff team I've seen in years. They were a joke of a playoff team. Yeah, so congratulations, an elite player scored points against the league's worst playoff team during a sweep when the games were as easy as pie. What happened when the rounds got later? He disappeared.
Well, he had a good first 3 games against Carolina, and he had the last 3 not as good. That's the short answer. He was okay at best against the Florida Panthers, but to not register a goal until basically the series was decided, this is where you're right, Anthony. This is where you're right.
Yeah, and you know what? It goes back to Laviolette. I would honestly, in this situation, I'd scratch Chris Kreider. I mean, what are you doing anyway? He's gone in the offseason. Why don't you scratch guys that aren't going to be around anymore to put in young guys where you can get a good look at them? So
the only reason to play Chris Kreider right now, Anthony, is to let him get the power play goal record.
The guy doesn't deserve it. You got the mailed in all year. You're telling me he should play to be rewarded to play on a power play to get a power play goal record? I mean,
I'm just saying that's the only reason to play him.
And I know, but it's Kreider. And you know what? Kreider really screwed the Rangers, because with his play this year, his trade value, I don't want to burst any bubbles here for Ranger fans, but you're not getting anything good back for Chris Kreider. At this point, you're moving Chris Kreider to dump him, to get rid of his, 2 years left at $6.5 million. You're not getting back a boatload of assets for Chris Kreider at this point, coming off a dreadful year. So, Drury, I think, is in a tough spot right now, because you're trading him at his lowest point in terms of his trade value. So I don't know what you're getting back for Kreider, but I can tell you it's not going to be anything particularly noteworthy. So I still, though, you need to move him regardless. But the point is, you're not going to get anything good for him now anymore. You're not. It's truth.
Yeah, I'm going on cap wages right now. I actually just screwed up trying to get there. Because I think he's only got 1 more year after this. Not 2. No, he does have 2 more years. How about that?
Yes, he does.
But still, yeah, you got to move him. You got to move him. And
it's a good one.
You got to find a way to move him.
Yeah.
Let's see. All right. Let's see if we can be as concise as possible, because we're going to have to cut this short. Well, your perfect offseason, let me try to guess this one, Anthony. The Islanders get to, let's say, within the top 10, and they get enough scratch together to move up to 3 and draft James Hagens.
I mean, yeah, that is, but I would say more realistically for the Islanders, I would say a good offseason is you trade, you dump guys like Casey Zizekas, you buy out Engvall, you buy out Mayfield, and then even though he's actually been playing very well lately, you trade JG Pageau, and then you either make a trade for a difference maker. Or you sign Nikolai Ehlers or even better, Mitch Marner as an unrestricted free agent. And then you sprinkle in the Cal Ritchie, who's going to be there next year. And you make maybe another shrewd move or two to get younger faster. So for me, I would say that's probably for the Islanders. You can go ahead there for the Rangers, and then I'll chime in.
My perfect offseason for the Rangers, let's be honest, and I've said this numerous times, they're not winning a Stanley Cup. Got this team. Got them. You trade Panarin. I don't think they could trade Trocheck till next year because this is, hold on, this will be year 4 coming up. I think his no move clause or kicks in this year where it's expands out. I can't remember if it's this year or
I think this will be year 3 for Trocheck coming up.
This is year 4.
It is?
This is coming up. This is year 4. This is year 3 right now for Trocheck. But coming up should be year 4. Because I believe that's what it was, a 5-year deal. All right. Sorry. It's it's 25-26, but I don't know if it's July 1st that trade that no move clause kicks in, or the modified no trade, because it expands as he gets older. So maybe one more year of Trocheck is what they got. And again, by the way, let me just be clear about something, Anthony. People always ask me, they're like, don't you like a player? It doesn't matter if I like a player. You got to look at these guys as assets now. You don't look at them as people anymore because you got to figure out how do you move it. Chris Kreider, I could still sell you. He's 7th in power play goals over the last 4 years. So I could still sell you a team that needs him and he needs to improve their power play. And they want to play like, a net front presence. He's still one of the best. Just because he's not doing it with the Rangers right now, it doesn't mean he can't do it elsewhere. But this team needs to be gutted thoroughly. And I know that there's a 27-point goal differential swing when Keandre Miller's not on the ice, as opposed to when he is. Rangers still aren't that good when he is on the ice. So he's got to be another guy I got to look at and moving with value. Artemi Panarin will be number 1. Try to find a team that's either contending or just out of contending status that you can move him to that he'd approve of. If you could find a taker for Mika Zibanejad, do it. Honestly, I still would. If you're asking me my personal opinion, I still would move Igor Shesterkin if I could, but I think that's bad business. So you can't do it.
I mean, if Drury, yes, I think Drury, he could move him before his no movement clause kicks in, but I think that's fantasy land stuff. I don't.
That is total fantasy land.
I don't think there's any appetite to do it. For me, I would say perfect Ranger off season would be you fire Laviolette, you fire Drury. I don't think trading Panarin's realistic. I agree with you. I know where you're coming from. I just don't see it happening.
I can't see it happening. I could give you.
I'm going to see trade Kreider. You get Zibanejad to waive his no movement clause. You move him, and lastly, you trade Lafreniere before his trade protection kicks in.
But then that goes back to the same thing we talked about: bad business. I'm extending players, and now it's just suddenly, oh wait, we're going to trade you under contract that you signed last year, and before you get there. It's not like the Derek Stepan thing a couple years ago where you gave yourself that window for him to play with the team, and if it works out, you stay. If it doesn't, you move him. This one, literally, he signed that contract last year, and first off, stop handing out these no-move clauses like the candy.
This is true right here. New GM does the trades. Is it still bad business? If Drury gets fired and the new general manager trades, let's say, Lafreniere before it kicks in, it's a really bad business. He's not the one that gave out the deal. Sean's on to something.
Anthony, that might be one of the best questions to even think about, because the short answer is no, it's not his deal. But then the owner still doesn't change. And you look at the owner and go, you don't honor your contracts. Like, that's the thing about all this. Like, if I worry about, now, granted, I could say this too. It's New York Rangers, Anthony. The Rangers are never going to be below number 3 on the free agent destination demands. But I would worry about that, though. I would worry about being knocked all the way down like that. I just think it's.
But he's onto something there with, if it's not Drury the one doing it, then it changes things, because that, he's not the guy that delivered the contract. It looks worse. It looks worse if Drury does it, because he's the one that just literally signed into the deal. If Drury gets sent out, sent packing, and the other general manager does it, it's not as bad. Again, look, when it comes to Lafreniere, I think it's just a matter of, all right, look, last year he had 57 points, and the thought was from Ranger fans again, well, he's the second coming now, 57 points. He had a good year, yes, no doubt about it, good year. But you want to throw a parade because a guy who was drafted first overall pick finally got into the 50s in terms of his point production. I mean, when you look at the grand scheme of things, that's still really not all that good. And then he follows it up this year with having a dreadful year, 3 goals in the last 30 games. He's going to finish with maybe 46 points. Like,
well,
he got paid and he went home. But the thing that's more frustrating for me is that look at his play. He looks like he has no interest in skating hard or playing defense.
Well, nobody does. Nobody does right now.
He's just as lazy as Artemi Panarin. So the point is, if you can get out of a deal before it becomes a huge problem when the warning signs are there, and here are the warning signs. First overall pick every year he's been in the league, except with the exception of last year, he's been a 40-point player. Like, what? Why would you want to keep a guy like that going forward when he hasn't lived up to expectations?
Here's the thing about their core, and to go with that, and again, let me answer your question too, because I also think I can't help but point this out all the time. You don't draft the first overall player to make him an awesome rant, just to make him throw him in the background, and that's it. You don't do that. And the Rangers did just that. They took a first and a second overall pick, and they were third liners. Like, so let me get that one out first. Now going back to this, like, it's disgusting in so many ways, but this is where we talk about you have to change around this core, because nothing changed with this team until JT Miller got there, and now he's just another piece of the guys that just aren't doing it. And that's sort of where I come to with that, because all the players quit. The players quit. They quit on the organization. The season should just end now. And John, we haven't talked about John Davidson and Sam Rosen being together today, but yeah, Johnny Brodzinski shoots the puck. Johnny Brodzinski. But yeah, Brody Bro's right here. We have no core. We rotted it away. But there's so much rot that's within this team right now. And with Alexei Lafreniere, he's supposed to be the guy that helps you dig deep. I don't know if that's going to be the case. I don't. I mean, well, how will the next GM clean up this mess? That's going to be interesting. How is Chris Drury going to clean up this mess? Chris Drury really never had his team. His core was Jeff Gordon's. So, with Anthony off right there, I'm just going to recenter on this one. And we're gonna be closing it up in about a minute, guys. But this team. What from this team do you really feel like saving? Kind of the easiest question. I mean, I throw everybody out. Get out. I mean, they can't score on the power. And by the way, here's a more difficult question: what to do with Adam Fox? Because as a Long Island guy, I mean, my heart goes out to him. He's worked his way to be a New York Ranger. He's been great as this New York Ranger. But you know what? And you hope Adam Fox is still going to be worth it by the end of his contract. I think he is. So let me get this straight. I am asking these questions. My answer is yes. I do think Adam Fox is going to be the right guy. But that being said, I mean, the Rangers got so many problems right now. Mika Zibanejad is not a leader. Stop asking him questions after the post game. I know what he's going to say tonight. Well, we just need to play better. We were playing better. We felt like we were playing better, but we didn't play better. Okay. Goodbye. That's my answer on that one. So, although, no, Fox would get more than a second round pick. Fox would get a lot more than a second round pick. I know you're frustrated right now. I want you to stop and think Fox is going to get more than that. Because let's be honest about this one really quick. However frustrated you might want to be, he's 9th in scoring. 9th among defensemen. And we didn't even talk about Cale Makar notching his first 30-goal season right now. And Fox is getting healthier. And as Brody's saying right here, Fox has never had his Zubov or Bukaboom. I mean, you could argue that what's his name was Ryan Lindgren was the guy. But maybe you could find another guy that's better. Because Fox right now is struggling because his defense partner was struggling. And we saw that happen with Brian Leach in the late 90s because Leach lost Bukaboom and he couldn't find another defense partner. No, I'm not going with Aaron Ekblad. Aaron Ekblad, no, his numbers are going to go down even worse. But Kill Jill is saying, I'd like to see the line. Yeah. I'd like to see what he's going to be like also. Panarin will be Luka Doncic, but if you want to use that into a phrase. All right, here we go. Rempe, Enstrom, Roback. All right, well, let's see if Roback is going to be on the team. Look, if he can end up making it, I would love to see what he's going to translate to at the NHL level. And this is the reason why fans have to reserve some judgment for Chris Drury. Because some of the prospects were Gortons and some of the signings were Gortons. Nope, I don't want Mitch Marner. Stop with the superstars right now. This team needs to go back to basics and figure out. Well, Jay, I'll go with yours to close out everything. Lindgren was a good partner. His body just couldn't handle the size of his heart. Rich, 100% on this one. Also, because when you play that style, it's going to wear on you and wear on you pretty quickly. Him in Colorado as a sixth defenseman is a lot different from him in New York as a first or a second because, again, you need guys like him that are willing to sacrifice their body and look no further than that 2022 series against the Penguins where they dressed an extra defenseman, and once they realized Lindgren can go, Patrick Nemeth never saw the ice ever again. And that's really helped. But Jay is saying, come on, Mark, why not get ridiculous? Why not the Rangers go after Noah Dobson? It's because they already have Adam Fox. You don't need another guy like that. They might even have Zach Jones next year and see how that's going to go. But I don't think it was just Lindgren was good until Laviolette was the coach. I think Lindgren's body just gave out. And Lindgren also, let's not forget that Jordan Kyrou goal. That was just awful of a play. It was basically a drop pass to Jordan Kyrou when he went in and scored. So Lindgren's play also fell off, and he got lost in the defensive zone a lot this year. That's another thing. Whoever is going to coach defense is to simplify everything. No. I don't think Noah Dobson would be your Zubov. I don't know who would be the Zubov, but again, Zubov is one of the biggest mistakes the Rangers ever made by trading him, even though Olaf Samuelsson was a very good defenseman. By the way, who was it you have to thank for that? I believe that was Mark Messier that helped influence that trade. All right, guys. And I'm starting to think that's a reality, but again, I don't think Q is the answer. There is no, even he comes in, I don't think the Rangers buy in and become this great team. We're going to see about that one. And there's other comments I can make with that. Guys, everybody, thanks very much for joining us at Big Apple Hockey today. And I'm looking forward to a nice, quiet evening. Maybe get a couple of good sound bites of JD and Sam one more time. I think it's just weird. Do you guys feel like this game should have been on MSG where the two of them got together? But also credit to the Columbus Blue Jackets for letting JD do this and be a television analyst for one more game with Sam Rosen and JD. So many. I wish JD never left the Rangers as president, but I mean, I'm also not asking him to be much as president, although he was making some personnel decisions. Guys, thank you. Brody, thank you. Boston. Okay, yeah. But yeah, I could see Q go to Boston. I don't know who's going to get Coach Q, though. I don't know who's going to get Coach Q. But, all right. Guys, thank you very much. We had 200 of you still watching right now, which says something. So we'll keep on putting out content. And, yeah, Pandolfo, I think, is going to go to Boston. And I started buying into Jay Pandolfo because I'm tired of retreads. Tired of retreads. Let's see how this goes. Rich, everybody, take it easy. Watch the replays. Keep spreading the word. Yeah. And Chris, was TNT's idea. As me or A to me. Thank you very much. And again, go Habs go, and keep on watching us every single week. We do a lot of good talk, and it's great to have a Habs fan that's in there. I wish I could say something in French right now, but all I remember out of my French is parlez-vous anglais? My wife actually went to Paris, so I wish I could have had her to translate some things. But thank you very much, guys, and I look for more edits this week, but we will see you. We'll see you during the week, and we'll see you during the playoffs. Look for the season finale wrap-ups, because we are going to try to do a big show with Ranger Central and some of the guys like that. All right, guys, thank you very much, and we will talk to you soon.